Legendary realm experts hovered above, watching their infantry legions charge while long-range units prepared to strike. It's coming. Yi Tianqing bit his lip until it bled, the iron tang mixing with the biting cold wind. Tell me, are you afraid to die? Yi Tianqing roared, ignoring the disorienting war drums as he raised his sword. No. The soldier's thunderous response echoed with the desperation of the doomed. Are you willing to die for the human race? We are. Then kill. Yi Tianqing screamed, his voice raw with the grief of a fallen hero, determined to shine one last time. The human race can be killed, but never conquered. He lamented the inability to fight alongside his kin or return to his peak. He cursed his inability to carve out a future for humanity. Kill. The battle cry shook the city. As ladders rose and avian riders swooped down, Yi Tianqing bellowed. Shields up. Destroy the ladders. Pour oil. Fire. Despite their weakness, the human soldiers fought with desperate, unimaginable ferocity, fighting back against the alien onslaught. Inspired by Yi Tianqing's refusal to retreat, the soldiers went mad, braving arrow storms to push back the ladders. Soldiers riddled with arrows grabbed boulders and leaped from the walls, turning themselves into human projectiles to crush the aliens below. Others grappled with avian riders, enduring the agony of talons piercing their flesh just to drag the enemies down. Fight. Kill. We don't fear death, only failing to kill enough aliens. If one life isn't enough, we'll trade 5 for 1. As soldiers fell, reinforcements silently rushed to the walls, joining the suicide mission without hesitation. Some were cut down before they could even utter a final word. They fought like silent, hollow shells, yet their souls burned with the brilliance of heroes, dying without complaint or regret. Tears streamed down Yi Tianqing's face, washing away the blood only to be stained again by the gore of both human and alien. Kill. Keep killing. We'll meet again in the heavens, brothers. Yi Tianqing fought on the front lines, weeping and laughing in a frenzy. Strategy and planning were no longer relevant. This was a raw, bloody collision of flesh and steel. Courage was the only currency for survival. Their only belief was to fight for their race, their survival, and the blood-soaked land they stood upon. They would not yield until the last man fell. Despite the aliens' superior strength, the wall held as the invaders left behind piles of corpses. Oh, the legendary realm experts above murmured in surprise. They're holding? This new commander has some tricks. Just the final struggles of a trapped beast. One sneered. Tell the drummers to increase the intensity. Break their spirit, we needn't intervene. A legendary expert infused his gang chi into the drums, weaving Qin Dao intent into the rhythm. Boom. The soldiers trembled. Boom. They began coughing up blood. With the third beat, many collapsed into unconsciousness. Only the humans were affected. This was the absolute suppression of the legendary realm, crushing the souls of the defenders with mere sound. Damn it! Yi Tianqing gritted his teeth, glaring at the figures above. Their cold, dismissive gazes made him feel like a Myriad. They mock us for lacking a legendary expert. Yi Tianqing was livid. The aliens wouldn't even grant them a fair death. As the drums took their toll, alien soldiers swarmed the walls, slaughtering the paralyzed humans. Yi Tianqing screamed in despair. Suddenly, a clear melody pierced the air. Manhwa and dozens of white-haired musicians sat cross-legged in the air, eyes closed, playing their zither. The sound of war echoed, using their lifeblood and souls as a score to counter the alien drums. The ancestral sound. Yi Tianqing inhaled sharply and roared. The human ancestor conquered the world. The war rhythm protects our souls. This was a forbidden war song. It required the musicians' lives. Half would likely die by the end. That foolish girl, she didn't leave. Yi Tianqing felt a mix of gratitude and dread, but there was no time for sentiment in this brutal war. Roar! A human soldier scrambled up, eyes bloodshot, and lunged at an alien with his blade. Kill! A new counteroffensive began. Soldiers clutched their weapons, some even grabbing aliens and leaping off the walls together. If they were to die, they would take the enemy with them. They're lunatics, an alien soldier shrieked in terror. The humans fought like zombies, ignoring pain and death, biting chunks of flesh from their enemies. Faced with such hateful, blood-red eyes, the aliens were pushed back, and the wall was reclaimed. But before Yi Tianxing could breathe, the alien drums intensified. Boom! The shockwave shattered the clouds. Uft! Manhwa and the musicians vomited blood, their zither stained crimson as they fell from the sky, their fates unknown. Manhwa fell like a withered flower, a trail of blood marking her descent. Sister, Yi Tianxing froze. Against absolute power, the ancestral sound was easily shattered by the legendary experts. The drums reclaimed the wall, and the human soldiers collapsed into paralysis once more. A cold, mocking voice echoed. The ancestral sound? Pathetic. Humiliation filled the survivors, but the mountain of enemy power felt impossible to overcome. Without a legendary expert, the human alliance was helpless. Were they destined to be nothing more than meat on a chopping block? Yi Tianxing wept in despair. Damn these aliens. Swish. Avian riders dived, their scimitars reaping human lives. Ha! Kill them all, the aliens roared. The alien warriors acted as executioners, destroying the humans' will to resist as the soldiers lay helpless on the ground. Soldiers cried out in rage, fearing not death, but this humiliating end. Tears streamed down Yi Tianxing's face. His sword dropped, and he covered his face, sobbing like a helpless child who had lost his home. The agony of his powerlessness cut through him like a blade. Yi Tianxing howled at the sky, his heart breaking as the aliens began their slaughter. Whoosh! A sudden, thunderous roar filled the air. Everyone looked up. A dozen massive red airships descended, the characters Yin Huang emblazoned on their hulls in bold, silver strokes. A golden dragon banner unfurled from the descending crimson airships, casting a shadow over the battlefield that stunned both sides. Yin Huang. Yi Tianxing stood frozen in disbelief. Nearby, wounded soldiers roared with excitement. It's Yin Huang. Yin Huang has sent reinforcements. Yi Tianxing trembled, his eyes reflecting the golden dragon flag. Finally, Emperor Lord, you didn't abandon us. It's the Yin Huang Empire, the cradle of human legendary realm experts. Alien legendary experts turned pale, their expressions shifting to pure dread. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The crimson airships opened, and black-armored soldiers poured out like falling rain. Commanders roared from within the ships. Human army, deploy. Imperial Guard, deploy. Traversing camp, deploy. Zhuge crossbow legion, deploy. The soldiers landed on the walls, immediately engaging the alien forces with lethal efficiency and surging gang chi. Military talents and legion buffs activated instantly. Puchi. The expressionless Yin Huang soldiers moved like reapers, cutting down alien troops with ruthless precision. The alien drum-based morale suppression proved useless. Yin Huang legions were immune to all morale-draining or mental control effects. To the shock of the onlookers, countless women began descending from the airships. Women's army, deploy. Su Huimi stood with a cold expression, followed by Hua Milan, whose overwhelming martial Dao aura suppressed the alien legendary experts in the sky. A legendary realm woman? Alien commanders gritted their teeth, desperate to hold the wall. Counterattack. Send in the Ogre infantry regiment. The alien commander bellowed, forcing his troops to hold the strategic point at any cost. Whoosh. Flying cavalry dived to seize the high ground, but were met with a barrage of bolts. Shoo, shoo, shoo. The crimson airships opened their side ports, unleashing a storm of massive, gang chi-infused bolts. The sky filled with projectiles. Puchi, puchi. The bolts shredded the flying cavalry, while the Zhuge crossbow legion picked off the survivors below. In an instant, tens of thousands of flying cavalry were reduced to less than 10,000. My singular focus on military development had made Yin Huang the Eastern Continent's premier force. Ogres, kobolds, and Dark Knight race warriors alike fell before the cold, unstoppable black-armored soldiers. The Yin Huang Empire finally revealed its true fangs to the world. The battle on the wall became one-sided. The alien drums failed to influence the Yin Huang soldiers, who trapped the enemy in a corner. Led by Su Huimi, Gao Shun, Ling Yu, and Su Nan, the Yin Huang forces crushed the alien resistance. The alien legendary experts, previously wary of Hua Mulan, could no longer remain idle. Damn it, all together now, one growled. If they didn't act, their forces would be wiped out. Hua Mulan hummed, flashing forward to intercept them. Get lost, girl, an alien legendary expert roared, radiating murderous intent. They were 5 legendary experts against 1 woman. They felt no fear. By the Emperor Lord's command, you shall not pass. Hua Mulan declared, drawing her sword. She looked at the first-tier legendary aliens with disdain. Emperor Lord? One wondered, just as the central hatch of the Crimson airship opened. I appeared in white robes, flanked by Su Ba, Su Jiao, and Wang Zhe. Uncouth monsters. I glanced at the aliens dismissively. Mulan, I don't like them. Kill them. Help. Save us. The alien soldiers, once arrogant, now died in sheer terror. Yen Huang taught them a bloody lesson. Humanity is not to be trifled with. You dare interfere with the Human Alliance's war? Aren't you afraid of our retaliation? Move, girl, the aliens shouted, ignoring me. Hua Mulan drew her sword, its blade shimmering like autumn water. Come then, let's see what you've got, she smiled. The desperate legendary experts lunged at her. I chuckled. Little Zhe. Yes, Wang Zhe replied, producing a prop from the system mall. Battlefield restriction. Creates a pocket dimension for combat, ending only when one side remains. Costs 100,000 public support energy. I used this to prevent the legendary clash from harming my own troops. Wang Zhe crushed the item, and a light barrier enveloped Hua Mulan and the aliens. They vanished from the battlefield. Inside, the combatants clashed violently. Mountains collapsed and rivers evaporated under the force of their battle. Yet Hua Mulan held her own against all 5. I boosted Hua Mulan's strength via the restriction, allowing her to dominate the fight. Below, the alien forces were forced to retreat from the wall, leaving mountains of corpses. The alien commander, fearing punishment from his monarch, roared, "Attack! Take the wall!" Boom! The alien drummer played a rhythm to induce bloodlust and fearlessness in his troops. The alien soldiers charged again, driven by a frenzied, suicidal rage. The Ogre infantry regiment led the charge, eyes glowing red with wild brutality. They aimed to breach the gate and slaughter the humans, followed by Dark Knight cavalry and archers. Fire, Ling Yu commanded coldly. A storm of Gangqi-infused bolts rained down, decimating the charging alien ranks. The Zhuge crossbow legion's long-range firepower keeps the alien soldiers far from the walls, thanks to the Yanhuang Empire's specialized bolts. I have mobilized numerous alchemists to craft high-grade alloy arrowheads, far sharper than standard issue. While common arrows cost silver, Yanhuang's bolts cost a gold coin each. This rain of arrows is essentially a downpour of gold, completely crushing the aliens in both equipment and strength. Enraged, the Alien Alliance commander orders his deputy, deploy the siege engines. The creaking of machinery fills the air. Massive catapults appear behind the enemy lines, deployed because the pressure from the Yanhuang Empire has become unbearable. Ogres load 5-meter boulders into the catapults, launching them toward the walls. The projectiles fly through the air. Countless boulders arc toward the walls, providing cover for the ground assault. Young Master Ling remains calm, ordering the Zhuge crossbowmen to maintain their barrage, trusting his comrades to defend the rear. Su Nin shouts, "Huban army, shield formation." The soldiers roar in response, their morale soaring. 10,000 Baisui Realm Tier 5 Huban soldiers raise their shields, covering the entire wall. Each shield glows with Gangqi. Despite the impact of the boulders causing some soldiers to cough up blood, the formation holds. War is a brutal exchange of blood and bones. I float above, surveying the battlefield, and ask Wang Zhe, "Is my army majestic?" Wang Zhe bows, noting that while the Yanhuang forces are elite, their small numbers make a war of attrition difficult. The Anti-Emperor Alliance has millions in reserve behind Yixianshan. Even with a favorable kill ratio, the current stalemate on the walls is disadvantageous for Yanhuang. I nod at Wang Zhe's bold, insightful analysis. Wang Zhe has clearly been studying military strategy, identifying the hidden crisis in the seemingly stable situation. With only 1 million troops, holding against millions in a prolonged siege is incredibly difficult. If the enemy persists, the walls will eventually crumble under the sheer destructive power of the martial artists. Yet, a single defender can sometimes hold a pass. The enemy continues to draw fresh reinforcements from behind Yixianshan. As predicted, the enemy deputy orders a second vanguard to be summoned from Yixianshan. A detachment of alien cavalry departs for the rear. I shake my head at the incompetence of the human alliance for losing such a strategic position. I remain unperturbed. I had already planted a hidden force to crush the enemy's hope at the critical moment. By shattering their morale, I intend to neutralize their numerical advantage. As the alien cavalry nears Yixianshan, new battle cries erupt. White-cloaked cavalry suddenly appear on the flank, intercepting the enemy scouts. Zhao Zilong shouts, "Where righteousness leads, life and death follow. The white horse is our witness. Charge!" The white horse Yitzong roar like thunder, their charge drowning the enemy scouts in a torrent of steel. This was my hidden trap, facilitated by the crimson airship and system stealth items. Screams echo across the field. The scouts are annihilated to the last man. The aliens are stunned. The deputy and his soldiers are paralyzed by the sudden appearance of human cavalry behind their lines. Confusion spreads through the alien ranks. As Zhao Zilong's force approaches, the reality of the threat sets in. The palpable killing intent radiating from the cavalry causes panic. Zhao Zilong commands, "Draw bows." The 100,000 white horse Yitzong draw their bows in perfect unison. Fire! A hail of arrows rains down from the rear, causing massive casualties in the alien formation. The alien commander roars, "Counterattack! Kill those cavalry." He knows he must eliminate this threat to keep the supply lines from Yixianshan open. The Dark Knight tribe cavalry turns to charge, but Zhao Zilong orders his men to split into groups and use their superior mobility to kite the enemy. The white horse Yitzong execute a curved charge, slaughtering the pursuers with hit-and-run tactics. Zhao Zilong charges straight toward the enemy formation. An alien general sneers, he's seeking death, and charges with his twin hammers. As they clash, Zhao Zilong's mount leaps. Zhao Zilong unleashes his spear, the strike piercing the Ranshan realm general's skull instantly. The body falls. The general's head remains, eyes wide with disbelief at his swift defeat. The human knight is terrifyingly strong. Zhao Zilong wipes his spear and continues his charge. The deputy realizes he's targeting the siege engines. He screams for reinforcements to intercept him. Because Zhao Zilong hides his true legendary realm aura, the aliens underestimate him as a reckless fool. Alien generals and Nirvana realm martial artists turn to surround him. They sneer at the lone rider. "Weak human, you're dead." 50 alien generals prepare to swarm him. They believe no single warrior can survive their encirclement. Zhao Zilong leaps into the air. His spear erupts with blinding gang chi, concentrated like a miniature sun. Half of his total energy is compressed into the tip of his spear. Zhao Zilong channeled his gang chi into his dragon gallbladder spear, forming a brilliant arc. 100 birds facing the phoenix spear. With a clear shout, he thrust the spear downward. Puchi! 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 The spear tip erupted into a blinding light, tearing through the void and manifesting as a spectral phoenix. Call! A thunderous phoenix cry echoed across the battlefield, carrying immense power as it slammed into the rear of the alien alliance formation. Boom! The phoenix phantom struck the lead alien generals, obliterating their bodies in a burst of gang chi flames that consumed their terrified expressions. The phantom persisted. Call! Spreading its wings, it swept through the alien ranks, incinerating soldiers and charging toward their siege equipment. Boom! A massive explosion rocked the earth, sending debris and gore raining from the sky. Rows of siege engines collapsed into ash, and the Ogre operators were instantly vaporized. The legendary realm musician, who relied entirely on his instrument for combat, was caught in the blast. Despite being guarded by a Nirvana realm expert, he stood no chance against Zhao Zilong's indiscriminate strike. The musician perished alongside his equipment, and the war drums fell silent. The entire battlefield went deathly quiet. The alien soldiers were stunned. Call! The final phoenix cry rang out. Following the Emperor Lord's will, the phoenix phantom soared, spread its wings one last time, and dissipated into a rain of light. 30,000 alien soldiers lay dead, and over 100 siege engines were destroyed. Even the alien deputy general was killed. A surviving commander screamed in disbelief. Legendary. A human legendary. It's a human legendary. Zhao Zilong was the second human legendary expert to appear on the field. The alien soldiers were gripped by shock and bitterness. Many were witnessing the true power of a human legendary expert for the first time, a memory that would haunt them forever. With the musician dead and the siege engines gone, the wall's shield formation fell, allowing the Zhuge crossbow legion to resume their barrage. Arrows rained down, slaughtering the aliens, while Yi Tianqing and the Human Alliance forces rallied to rejoin the fight. Bolstered by the Yanhuang Empire's fresh troops, Yi Tianqing wiped blood from his mouth and roared, "We shall win today." "Victory!" "Roar!" the Human Alliance soldiers shouted. Outside the walls, Zhao Zilong landed. His steed, Night Shining Jade Lion, caught him midair. "Humph!" Zhao Zilong glanced at the dazed enemy, whistled, and led the white horse Yizong in a new charge. Having wiped out the Dark Knight race cavalry, the white horse Yizong began sniping the alien formation. With less than a third of his Gangqi remaining, Zhao Zilong chose to conserve his strength. Still, his display left a lasting mark. Quick! Defend! Counterattack! As the arrow rain resumed, the alien soldiers finally snapped out of their stupor and roared back. The anti-Suyu Alliance commander gritted his teeth, screaming, "Attack! We must retake the Yixianshan battlefield." Only by retaking the position could he summon reinforcements to turn the tide. Suddenly, the void above the wall rippled, and the corpse of a Dark Knight race legendary expert fell to the ground. The alien soldiers froze in disbelief. They had lost another legendary expert. Then, more bodies fell. One by one, all 5 of their legendary experts were dropped like stones, their corpses displayed before the horrified army. Finally, Hua Mulan stepped from the void, her armor stained with blood, her sword cold and sharp. She had single-handedly slain all 5 legendary experts, shattering the morale of the anti-Suyu Alliance. Yi Tianqing watched in ecstasy. The 6 legendary threats were gone. From above, a calm command echoed across the walls. "Open the gates. Slaughter them." It was my voice. I intended to annihilate the enemy forces completely. "Open the gates." Sunan roared. Gao Shun led the traversing camp, followed by the women's army and the Huban army pouring out of the city. By the Emperor Lord's command, "Exterminate the aliens." Gao Shun led the charge, his voice piercing the air. "Soldiers, follow me. Kill." The Yanhuang legions surged forward, trampling the demoralized aliens who could no longer resist. With the white horse Yizong harassing them from afar and 50,000 elite troops pursuing, the alien commander realized his million-strong force was crumbling. The aliens were broken, their arrogance replaced by pure terror. Realizing they were being surrounded, the commander bitterly fired a distress signal into the sky. Whoosh! Boom! The flare signaled a desperate crisis. He had to call for reinforcements from Yixianshan, preferring the monarch's wrath to certain death. "Hold the line. Reinforcements are coming. Victory is still ours." He screamed to boost morale, forcing his soldiers to face the Yanhuang infantry. Driven by the fear of death, the aliens fought with desperate ferocity. Everyone understood the stakes. On this battlefield, only the most ruthless would survive. Kill! Kill! The 2 armies collided in a brutal, bloody melee. This was the close-quarters combat the Yanhuang infantry excelled at. Kill these alien dogs. Gao Shun and Su Nen fought at the front, their armor soaked in blood, refusing to retreat. They pushed forward, tearing through the alien defenses. They fought to prove that humanity, the spirit of all things, would never kneel. Recite the Emperor Lord's words. Su Huimi, leading the women's army, shouted with a cold, clear voice. The army chanted in unison. "We, the humans, can pity the world or wield the butcher's blade. We can swallow mountains and rivers, or conquer the 4 corners. We can reach the heavens to pluck the moon, or dive into the sea to capture dragons. We shall change the world." The traversing camp roared with a shrill, piercing intensity, fighting relentlessly and pushing forward. These were the words I had once spoken. They were filled with grand ambition and extreme nationalism. Yet, it was these words of extreme arrogance that ignited the blood of every soldier in the Yanhuang Legion at this very moment. Their blood boiled and burned within them. The Emperor Lord's words were etched into their hearts. Neither thunder nor rain, nor the grace of the heavenly Tao, nor the wrath of a monarch, but the majesty of the human race. When the human race rejoices, the four seas are at peace and the world is tranquil. When the human race is enraged, the heavens and earth tremble, and the common people perish. I am of the human race. I dare to fight. I dare to fight to the death. For the rise of the human race. I shall fight until my last breath. Never yielding, never ending. The morale of the entire Yanhuang Legion soared like a rainbow, witnessing the first formal battle of the human race's rise with the blood of countless alien soldiers. All the alien soldiers turned pale, trembling uncontrollably. Their morale had completely collapsed, and their million-strong army was reduced to nothing more than waste. Not a single one dared to raise their blades to strike back. They were all retreating, all fleeing, all begging and screaming. This battle, the Monarch has lost. We have lost. The alien commander's face was deathly pale, devoid of any color, as he muttered to himself. I, ranked third on the Great Emperor rankings, was able to suppress the Dark Knight Monarch, who ranked second on the battlefield. Whether it was my grasp of the situation, my training of the army, or my influence over my race, I far surpassed the Dark Knight Monarch. How could I be the third Great Emperor? I was clearly no weaker than the Winged Tribe Emperor, who held the top spot on the Great Emperor rankings. The bloody battle rages on. Caught in the fervor of the slaughter, Gao Shun roared, his armor stained with blood as he continued to charge. Stop killing. I beg you, stop the killing. The shrill, hoarse cries in the alien tongue echoed across the battlefield. The remaining million soldiers of the Anti-Suyu Alliance could no longer resist the slaughter of the Yanhuang soldiers. It was a one-sided massacre. In just the span of a single incense stick, over 100,000 of the million-strong army had already fallen. 60,000 of them had died from the panicked trampling and flight of their own comrades. Drop your bows. Charge, Zhao Zilong ordered with a cold, stern expression. The white horse Yizong behind him discarded their bows, drew their cavalry sabers, and launched a frontal charge. Facing an enemy that had lost all will to fight, even a charge by light cavalry could unleash unimaginable combat power. Kill! The roar of the white horse Yizong erupted, and the cruelty of war was rendered in vivid detail. Severed limbs flew, blood sprayed, and the passion and blood of men burned fiercely in the flames. On the city walls, Yi Tianqing felt his blood boiling, roaring, Deputy General, Deputy General, Commander, I am here. The Deputy General scrambled up from the ground. The Human Alliance's army had finally regained its footing. Quick, open the city gates wide and let the army out. Go out and kill. Kill all the aliens. Yi Tianqing shouted continuously, leading the remaining million soldiers from the border city into the fray. Kill. Kill them all. Slaughter these aliens and let them know the might of humanity. With the addition of the Human Alliance's fresh troops, the Anti-Suyu Alliance's formation became even less capable of resistance. High in the sky, Su Ba, Su Jiao, and the others watched the battlefield below, their blood boiling. If not for the heavy responsibility of protecting the Emperor Lord, they would have joined the fray themselves. The youth Wang Zhe also felt his blood burning. He stared blankly at the battlefield, sensing the morale and combat power of my army with his heart. That fire-like greatness, that steel-like will. It exceeded everything Wang Zhe had imagined. If one could become a general of such an army, what an honor that would be. Wang Zhe sighed in his heart. Then his gaze wandered, suddenly catching sight of the distant Axiantian Canyon. A jolt went through Wang Zhe. He quickly turned to warn me, whispering, Emperor Lord, aren't there over 10 million alien troops outside the Axiantian Canyon? If they join the battle now, the situation will be reversed. Outside the Axiantian Canyon, there were still legendary realm experts and a massive number of alien troops acting as reinforcements. If they joined the battle now, they would undoubtedly flank the white horse Yizong from the rear, trapping the Yanhuang Empire in a pincer movement. Good eye? I smiled calmly, praising Wang Zhe. Wang Zhe scratched his head, feeling a bit embarrassed, but he did not forget his duty. As a young general by the Emperor Lord's side, he had to learn constantly and remind the Emperor Lord at critical moments. Emperor Lord, should we send men to garrison the Axiantian Canyon? Wang Zhe asked, puzzled. Everyone had seen the alien commander fire the signal flare earlier. Even a fool could guess he was summoning reinforcements. The Emperor Lord is peerlessly wise. If even you can see the situation, how could the Emperor Lord not? Suba laughed. Wang Zhe was stunned, and I just smiled without a word. Just then, the alien commander on the battlefield looked anxious, muttering to himself, "The signal flare has been out for so long. Why haven't the reinforcements arrived yet?" It was only the distance of a canyon. Although it would be troublesome for an army to march, the legendary realm and Ranshan realm experts could fly over the canyon. Why hadn't they arrived? Just as the alien commander was filled with anxiety and sorrow, several figures of alien legendary realm experts suddenly appeared at the Axiantian Canyon. Behind these legendary realm experts were hundreds of Ranshan realm generals and martial artists. They were rapidly approaching from above the canyon. "They're here. Everyone hold on. The reinforcements are coming." The alien commander's eyes lit up, and he laughed. Many soldiers of the alien coalition looked back and saw this scene, gritting their teeth to bolster their spirits, silently praying for the reinforcements to arrive quickly. However, just as the aliens were excited, and just as Wang Zhe exclaimed, "Emperor Lord, this is bad. Their reinforcements are here." A cold, aged voice echoed over the Axiantian. "The third elder of Jinya is here. Who dares to cross the canyon?" A weathered figure soared into the sky, holding a long sword, looking down upon the entire field with pride. It was the third elder of Jiangha. This was the third human legendary expert to appear on the battlefield, and the most powerful veteran legendary realm expert at that. This was another of my hidden moves. Since I had decided to send troops, how could I not bring more trump cards? Wang Zhe stared blankly at the Emperor Lord, who wore a faint smile. This was the feeling of having everything under control. Every step had been calculated perfectly by the great Emperor. He gave the enemy no room to breathe. Swish, swish, swish. Figures of the new generation of martial disciples from Jiangha soared into the sky. Thanks to the constant supply of pills and resources from the Yanhuang Empire over the past few months, Jinya now possessed 50 or 60 Ranshan realm sword disciples. Swish, swish, swish. Figures of female disciples appeared high above the canyon. These were the most excellent musicians from Qinghai Cliff. Each was proficient in the music of slaughter. With slender fingers, they could seize the hearts of men. It's over. Those are the humans from Qinjian City. The alien commander's face turned deathly pale, and a sense of despair permeated the alien army outside the city walls. With martial experts from Qinjian City guarding the canyon and veteran human legendary realm experts assisting, this was clearly a case of one man guarding the pass, 10,000 unable to open it. A short canyon had now become the most desperate chasm for this million-strong alien army. Who could have imagined that human experts from Qinjian City would appear at this moment? Who could have imagined that the Axiantian Canyon, originally intended as a troop transport route, was hiding Jiangha experts? It had turned the Axiantian Canyon into a dead end for the million-strong army. Originally, there were some alien troops and experts stationed within the Axiantian Canyon, but with the Third Elder's powerful strike, these alien troops and experts were killed on the spot, and the entire canyon was occupied by the people of Jiangha. "Emperor Lord, I shall go assist the Third Elder," Hua Mulan whispered to me. She had been waiting for the battle, and this was the critical moment she had been waiting for. Be careful." I nodded calmly and waved my hand. Hua Mulan nodded, holding her precious sword, her figure flickering, and in an instant, she arrived above the canyon. "Third Elder, by the Emperor Lord's command, I have come to assist you." Hua Mulan's crisp, pleasant voice rang out above the canyon. Another human legendary realm expert had arrived. The alien legendary realm experts all looked grim. One Third Elder was already a tough nut to crack, and now another legendary realm human woman had appeared. "Ha ha, you young girl. I have heard the Emperor Lord speak of you. Come, let me see what you are capable of." The Third Elder laughed heartily. "Elder, just watch. Let's see who kills more enemies, and who takes the first merit of this battle." Hua Mulan arched her brows, her killing intent revealed. Her long sword scattered like peach blossom rain. Gangchi erupting as she launched a fierce attack on the alien experts. This little girl, the third elder, chuckled, then roared, "Come, let these beasts see why my Jiangha is the #1 martial arts holy land of the human race. Kill." The Jiangha disciples revealed their killing intent, crazily pouncing on the enemy. Let the Emperor Lord see clearly that the men of my Jiangha are all heroes of the human race. Each one can fight to the death for the human race. Clang, 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 clang. The sounds of iron horses and golden spears began to ring out, and the female musicians began to play melodies that could seize the hearts of men. A second battlefield had been opened above the canyon. My eyes were calm as I watched the sky above the canyon from afar. Sending Hua Mulan to the canyon was to further stabilize the situation there. As long as these alien legendary experts were held back, the Yanhuang Legion could completely annihilate the alien army beneath the city walls, who had already fallen into despair. Kill. Outside the city walls, increasingly tragic shouts of battle continued to ring out. The alien commander led his army in a frantic retreat, not knowing where to run for survival. Despair, regret, these countless negative emotions gnawed at their hearts like ants. Counterattack, counterattack. Even if we die, we cannot let these humans have it easy. The alien commander desperately wanted to grit his teeth and roar to boost morale. He was loyal. He wanted his soldiers to exhaust more of the Yanhuang soldiers so that the friendly forces in the next battle would face fewer enemies. But these soldiers, whose courage had long been shattered, could no longer be formed into a fighting force. They were like a million pigs, fleeing in panic, screaming hoarsely, throwing away their armor. Even if the alien commander wanted to fight to the death now, he was powerless to turn the tide. Emperor Lord, Wang Zhe muttered to himself, watching these scenes in a daze of shock. What he felt most deeply in this battle was not the might of the generals or the martial strength of the legendary realm experts, but the endless methods and arrangements of the Emperor Lord. This was the key to strategizing and winning the battle. From the moment the aliens were excited about their impending victory, the Yanhuang Legion made a powerful entrance, giving the aliens a head-on blow. Then, when the enemy was enraged, I brought out the white horse Yizong to form a pincer, using Zhao Zilong's legendary strength to cause the first wave of chaos. Then, opening the city walls to take advantage and surround them, further expanding the battlefield, suppressing the enemy's morale, and increasing the stakes of victory. Finally, when the enemy was at their wits' end, the moment their reinforcements appeared, I played my final card, having the third elder forcefully block the alien reinforcement experts. From excitement, to terror, to rising hope, and then watching that hope shatter. In this war, the enemy's mindset was completely under the Emperor Lord's control, devouring them step by step, breaking their will, making it impossible for the alien commander to even launch a desperate counterattack at the moment of greatest despair, attacking the body and attacking the heart. This was the method of the great Emperor Su. Wang Zhe sighed slightly, truly admiring the Emperor Lord in his heart. Emperor Lord, today's battle will surely annihilate over 1 million enemies. A successful battle, letting all races see the might of our human race. If there are a few more such great victories, I fear our human race will not be weaker than the god-human race, demon-human race, dragon race, or elf race among the top 10 races. Wang Zhe carefully chose his words, both flattering me and expressing his own feelings. As a descendant of Yanhuang, he deeply felt the changes the Emperor Lord had brought to the human race. From being humble and lowly in the past to being a noble race now. From being weak and pathetic to being victorious in every battle. All these changes were brought to the human race and the descendants of Yanhuang by the Emperor Lord. Make the human race comparable to the top races? I raised an eyebrow and smiled. Yes. Wang Zhe nodded without hesitation, saying firmly, I believe that with the Emperor Lord here, the human race will definitely see that day. Making the human race shoulder to shoulder with the top races. From then on, the Four Directions continent will no longer have 10 top races, but 11. Suba said with a smile. With the Emperor Lord in our human race, even if we were to stand shoulder to shoulder with the most powerful dragon race among those 10, it would be possible. Sujio said with a chuckle. Taking advantage of a great victory to say some pleasant things was human nature. After all, they were accompanying a human great emperor, and it would be a regret in life if one didn't know how to flatter. Dragon, I smiled calmly and said softly, I want this world to have everyone surpass the dragon. What did the dragon race count for? The human race is even nobler than the dragon, even more powerful than the dragon. The Emperor Lord had the ambition to suppress the heavens. How could he set his sights on a mere dragon race? Su Ba, Su Jiao, and Wang Zhe were all stunned, looking at me. Everyone surpasses the dragon. Wang Zhe muttered to himself, chewing on these words repeatedly, feeling his blood boiling, the flames of his passion rising even higher. The Emperor Lord's words carried great ambition. Just when the three thought my goal was merely this, I looked at the ongoing slaughter on the battlefield, my grand ambition suddenly rising, and I couldn't help but chant in a long, clear voice. The four directions continent divides the world. Above are the sun, moon, stars, and rivers. Below are the mountains, rivers, and 10,000 races, whether beast, or winged, or dragon, or phoenix. Yet, I have one race, called human. Beasts shall be food on the plate. Winged ones shall be horses pulling the carts. Dragons shall be the totem of my people. Phoenixes shall be birds in the courtyard. I raise 1,000,000 elite soldiers, wishing to make all races prisoners, plucking the sun and moon as a crown. The 1,000-mile firmament shall be the battle cloak of the human race, and the 10,000-mile yellow earth shall be the territory of the human race. And I shall take the Myriad realms plain as my place of rest day and night. My voice soared into the sky, reaching the entire battlefield. Roar! The morale of the soldiers rose again, and the speed of the slaughter became even faster. The blood-stained sabers in their hands were swung with even more force. Wang Zhe and the other two stood blankly, looking at me in shock, clenching their fists tightly. Although they didn't understand what the Emperor Lord meant by taking the Myriad realms plain as his place of rest, the whole passage just sounded incredibly inspiring. Wishing to make all races prisoners, plucking the sun and moon as a crown. The top 10 races were nothing. They could only be food on the human race's plate, clothes on their bodies, birds in their courtyards, and horses pulling their carts. This was true grand ambition. This was something the humans had never dared to imagine. For some reason, at this moment, the soldiers wanted to roar. Even though their throats were already hoarse, even though they had been fighting for a long time, they felt no fatigue. Streams of inexhaustible strength surged from within every person. This was a power called faith supporting them. This faith was called I am human. Following my long roar, the entire firmament seemed to tremble, and dark clouds rolled. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Massive amounts of thunder flashed continuously, and a torrential downpour fell, washing away the bloodstains on the battlefield. It was as if my chant had made the heavens angry. This was a human with the ambition to suppress the heavens. A sense of enlightenment rose in my heart. At this moment, I felt an invisible shackle within my body shattered, and an indescribable feeling surged into my heart. This feeling was very strange, like a new power, yet also like a vast and righteous spirit. This strange feeling even caused the true dragon aura within me to boil and cheer, leaping incessantly. Following the Emperor Lord's long roar, the entire battlefield had completely boiled over, and the soldiers of the alien coalition could no longer continue to resist. In less than 2 hours of war, not a single one of the million-strong army had been spared. The alien coalition was completely slaughtered. The human army and Zhao Zilong's white horse Yizong had killed the most, earning the most military merit. Ah! Screams came from above the Axiantian Canyon. An alien legendary realm expert had fallen. They had originally intended to use the power of the legendary realm to crush the canyon's key position, causing boulders to collapse and fill the canyon, allowing the alien coalition's army to pass. But they hadn't expected the third elder and Hua Mulan to be so aggressive, attacking continuously, and finally, under the obstruction and defense of more than a dozen alien legendary realm experts, they successfully sniped one alien legendary realm expert, ending him right there. As the battle near the city walls died down, the alien experts above the Axiantian Canyon were filled with hatred. but their friendly forces had been annihilated, and they could only roar helplessly, "Retreat." They left behind the corpses of many alien experts and were forced to retreat to the other side of the canyon. Their friendly forces had been slaughtered, and there was no advantage to a forced attack now. It was better to adjust their forces, send back intelligence, and wait for the Dark Knight Monarch's instructions. Humph. The third elder twirled his sword, looking contemptuously at the dense alien army on the other side of the canyon. The Jiangha disciples relied on the natural chasm of the canyon to block an army of over 10 million from crossing. This military merit was world-shaking. "Huban army, follow me," Su Nan roared, leading the Huban army to garrison the canyon, occupy the key route, and rest and reorganize the military facilities on the spot. Meanwhile, the third elder floated above the canyon, closing his eyes to rest, deterring the group of alien experts and preventing them from coming over to cause trouble. As for the other Jiangha disciples, they had followed Hua Mulan into the city to rest, while other troops were cleaning up the battlefield. Above the city walls, Su Ba and Su Jiu directed the Crimson airship to land on the drill ground inside the city. As I prepared to land, a system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations to the host for winning a million-level war. War rating, perfect. Ding! Congratulations to the host for receiving a martial Dao strength and realm +1 reward. Ding! Congratulations to the host for receiving one opportunity to use the Lord's altar. Ding! Congratulations to the host for receiving one perfect grade lottery opportunity. Ding! Congratulations to the host for receiving a reward of 15 million public support energy. Ding! Congratulations to the host for activating the Lord Talent Soul of the human race. A series of notifications sounded, causing the corners of my mouth to curl into an upward arc. I had always kept the Yanhuang Empire restrained, never launching large-scale military operations, all for the sake of waiting for this opportunity. According to the system's nature, as long as the Yanhuang Empire won its first large-scale battle, there would definitely be massive rewards. Sure enough, I had guessed correctly. Many of the system's hidden rewards and tasks were somewhat similar to the achievement systems in the online games of my previous life. Every time I reached a new stage, I could unlock higher task requirements and standards and receive some rewards. The specific distribution of rewards would increase or decrease based on my performance at the time. It was clear that I had come prepared this time. This battle had received high praise from the system, allowing me not only to win the war, but also to receive a massive amount of system rewards. However, what I hadn't expected most was, aside from some conventional lottery rewards, I had actually received some new system rewards that had never appeared before, such as the massive 15 million public support energy reward, such as the special lottery opportunity obtained based on the war rating, and the +1 reward to my own strength, as well as the activation of a new Lord Talent. As soon as I landed, the system's rewards were issued. I felt a jolt run through my entire body, as if electric sparks were coursing through me, leaving me with a tingling sensation. Immediately following this, a strange sensation of clarity washed over my mind, as if my senses had been sharpened and I could suddenly perceive the world with newfound depth. Thanks to the system's rewards, my martial Dao cultivation had ascended to a new level. I had reached the 5th stage of the realization realm. I was now only a single Nirvana realm gap away from the status of a legendary realm expert. I opened the system interface in my mind to examine the description of my new Lord's Talent. Soul of the human race, a combination of passive, active, territorial, personal, and special talents. As a great emperor, manifest the will of the human race. Gain the recognition of the race's destiny and awaken the soul of the human race. Passive effects. When human subjects under my rule are active within my territory, they will randomly receive buffs such as longevity, disease-free, prosperity, intelligence, twice the result with half the effort, natural luck, and more. When human soldiers under my rule are in combat, they will randomly receive buffs such as heroic, fearless, ignore pain, double combat power, double attack power, double defense power, see through enemy tactics, and more. Active effects. Nourish the soul of the human race with the body of an emperor lord, receiving the worship and daily sustenance of the masses. When I practice martial Dao, I am exempt from inner demons and cultivation bottlenecks. Additionally, activating this talent strengthens the combat power of the true dragon aura within me. Furthermore, during combat, I can communicate with the race through the soul of the human race, sharing the gang chi, martial Dao cultivation, knowledge, and talent skills of any human subject under my command. Special effects. Enhances the effects of the special building Emperor Lord statue within my territory and boosts the effects of livelihood technologies already unlocked in the blacksmith shop. Ha ha ha. My eyes lit up, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud. This talent, named Soul of the Human Race, actually possessed a combination of 5 talent types. It could not only influence the territory and me personally, but also directly affect every single human within my domain. Whether they were commoners or soldiers, as long as they were humans under my command, they could randomly receive positive buffs. I really wanted to say to all humans in the world, come, become my subjects, and let me grant you a few buffs. I was currently grinning so wide I could barely close my mouth. The effects of the Soul of the Human Race talent were simply too powerful. It had astonishing benefits for both territorial development and the enhancement of my personal combat strength. Moreover, the part that pleased me the most was that through the Soul of the Human Race, I could fully utilize the wisdom, talents, skills, and martial Dao strength of anyone under my command. For instance, Zhao Zilong had already hurried onto the city wall, preparing to report the battle results to me. Swish! I picked up a long spear from the ground and poked it smilingly toward Zhao Zilong. Come, Zhao Zilong, spar with me for a few rounds. Rip! The spear in my hand pierced the air, with fierce gang chi swirling around the tip, emitting a stunning radiance. This move? Why was it so familiar? Zhao Zilong was stunned and hurriedly raised his spear to defend. The Emperor Lord had suddenly taken a fancy to sparring with him, but Zhao Zilong dared not truly strike back at the Emperor Lord, so he could only parry and defend casually. After all, he was in the legendary realm, and since the Emperor Lord's strength was inferior to his own, it was better not to go all out. Just as Zhao Zilong was pondering this, the spear in my hand moved like a venomous snake. Swish! I held the spear with one hand and gave it a slight flick. The spear struck toward Zhao Zilong's wrist like a snake emerging from its hole. Clang! Caught off guard, Zhao Zilong couldn't dodge in time, and the spear tip collided with the armor on his wrist, producing a crisp sound. Fortunately, I had already reined in my gang chi, so I didn't hurt Zhao Zilong. This is the 7-probe snake coiling spear. Zhao Zilong was not only shocked, but also gaped, staring blankly at me. The Emperor Lord. When did the Emperor Lord learn my unique spear technique? And looking at the Emperor Lord's proficient technique, his understanding of the 7-probe snake coiling spear was completely on par with his own. Poor Zhao Zilong was completely stunned, standing foolishly on the spot. He had no idea that I had already activated the talent effect of the Soul of the Human Race. At this moment, my martial Dao strength, talent skills, and everything else were identical to Zhao Zilong's. This was another powerful aspect of the Soul of the Human Race. It could perfectly replicate everything about any human under my command. It allowed me to possess my own talents and skills while also copying all the talents, skills, and strength of my target. The Soul of the Human Race had no usage restrictions. In 1 second, I could possess wisdom as heaven-defying as Marquis Wu Zhuge's, and in the next, I could transform into a human god of war with combat power rivaling Zhao Zilong's. As long as they were talents under my command, I could use them and replicate them all. Third update. End of chapter. Looking at Zhao Zilong's dazed expression, I couldn't help but laugh heartily. I hadn't even used my legendary realm strength yet, and I had already surprised Zhao Zilong to this extent. If I were to use martial Dao strength identical to Zhao Zilong's, the man would likely be even more confused and bewildered. Clatter! I casually dropped the spear and patted Zhao Zilong on the shoulder. Go and get some rest first. Could it be an illusion? Was it because I used my own spear technique too frequently on the battlefield just now? How could the Emperor Lord use the 7-probe snake coiling spear? Zhao Zilong muttered to himself, beginning to doubt his own senses. Emperor Lord, Gao Shun and the others had been waiting on the city wall for a long time. Seeing me approach, They didn't even have time to wipe the blood from their armor before striding over, carrying with them a thick scent of blood. Emperor Lord Yi Tianqing also rushed over, his expression filled with excitement. The Emperor Lord truly did not abandon the human alliance. The Emperor Lord's great kindness and righteousness are something Tianqing will never forget. The human alliance will never forget. Yi Tianqing was trembling with excitement. He quickly knelt on both knees and kowtowed repeatedly. If the Yanhuang Legion hadn't appeared in time, this battle would have been the human alliance's last. The words you spoke when you were sent as an envoy were quite reasonable. After much deliberation, I decided to send troops to support our kin. We are all of the same race, so there is no need for such formalities. Get up. The situation is tense now, so we can save the reminiscing for later. I waved my hand. Understood. Yi Tianqing felt a surge of warmth, shouted his acknowledgement, and stood behind the other generals. Reporting to the Emperor Lord, this battle is a great victory. We have annihilated over 1.5 million enemies. Not a single prisoner was taken. The human alliance lost 1.8 million men, while our Yanhuang Legion suffered 3,600 casualties and 18,000 severely wounded. Gao Shun reported the battle situation in a loud voice. Standing behind Gao Shun, Yi Tianqing couldn't help but sigh. The Yanhuang army was truly formidable. 600,000 men chasing down and fighting an army of over 1 million, annihilating the entire enemy force while losing only a few thousand of their own. Compared to the human alliance's losses, 1.8 million dead, while only managing to kill a few 100,000 of the alien alliance's soldiers. The gap between the two sides was simply heaven and earth. However, no joy appeared on my face. 3,000 dead. I frowned. Continue to send men to clean up the battlefield. Have the human army and the traversing camp take turns garrisoning the Axiantian Canyon. Let Zhao Zilong rest. Then have him take over the defense of the canyon from the third elder. The Axiantian Canyon was flanked by mountain ranges reaching 1,000 meters in height. The remaining nations of the human alliance were barely clinging to life behind the canyon. If the alien alliance wanted to attack, they would either have to force their way through the Axiantian Canyon or spend 3 months marching around to attack the human alliance's rear. However, the enemy had a massive army, making it impossible to conceal their movements. If their plans were discovered in advance, the human alliance would surely seize the opportunity to strike out from the canyon and reclaim lost territory. If it were the old human alliance, they likely wouldn't have had the combat power to do so, but now that they had the Yanhuang Legion, the alien alliance had to choose carefully. I estimated they would likely choose to force the canyon rather than take the long way around. Therefore, the Axiantian Canyon was now a strategic stronghold. Since the Yanhuang Legion had recaptured it, they had to make good use of this defensive position to firmly choke off the enemy's military movements. Understood. Gao Shun and the others acknowledged the order and left with the generals to continue arranging the remaining defensive matters. Yi Tianqing's expression was one of shock. These generals had achieved such great merit, yet the Emperor Lord didn't reward them? Was the standard for military merit in Yanhuang set too high? With so many famous generals under his command, if I didn't set the standards high, I would eventually run out of things to reward them with as time passed. I glanced at Yi Tianqing and said with a light laugh, Tianqing, Emperor Lord, I am here. Yi Tianqing quickly bowed. Tell me about the current situation of the human alliance. I calmly found a stone stool and gestured for Yi Tianqing to sit with me. Yi Tianqing was flattered. He had originally wanted to check on his sister's injuries, but since the Emperor Lord had invited him, he had to stay. Fortunately, there were physicians taking care of the wounded in the city. In reply to the Emperor Lord, the human alliance currently consists of 13 remaining duchies. Led by the Manhwa Duchy, they have gathered over 5 million human soldiers, who are now clustered in several nearby major cities. This battle cost us 1.8 million men, so there should be over 3 million combat-ready soldiers left. Yi Tianqing pondered for a moment and said, as for the 13 duchies, 6 have already lost their territory and are crowded into the lands of other duchies behind the canyon. As for the other human duchies in the alliance, they have long since been wiped out by the alien alliance, with not even an heir surviving. The human alliance has taken in many refugees, but due to the tense war situation, there are still many homeless human refugees outside, and the human alliance is currently powerless to take them in. Yi Tianqing sighed. What he worried about most was the fate of ordinary human civilians. Once war breaks out, how many families are torn apart? The destruction of a single duchy leads to hundreds of thousands, or even millions, of people becoming displaced. However, I spoke up, giving Yi Tianqing some good news. That is not a problem, I said calmly. Before I came, I already sent Chen Kun to lead some duchies of the 100 Tribes Alliance to collect human refugees from all over the eastern continent and bring them back to the Yanhuang Empire to be supported for free. Furthermore, I have issued a continental decree. Any human refugee bullied by an alien race, following our old rule, if they kill one of my people, I will destroy their entire nation. My words left Yi Tianqing utterly shocked. Compared to the fact that the Yanhuang Empire could command some small alien duchies, this matter wasn't surprising, but my attitude was truly terrifying. Since when did the Su Great Emperor become so overbearing? Kill one human, and he would destroy an entire nation. Did the Yanhuang Empire really have the courage to stand against the entire continent for the sake of the human race? Just as Yi Tianqing was in shock and doubt, his deputy general hurried over to report. The deputy general glanced at me, bowed, and said hesitantly, "Commander, there is an urgent report. I am not sure if I should say it." "Speak, it is fine." Yi Tianqing waved his hand and shouted. If he couldn't even trust me, the human alliance would have been destroyed long ago. Reporting to the commander, news just arrived from the rear of the alliance. A month ago, war broke out in the northern frontier of the Yanhuang Empire. That general, named by Qi, once again led troops into the Ogre Empire. As of the time the intelligence was sent, he had already slaughtered 5 Ogre cities and killed 4 Ogre legendary realm experts. If I am not mistaken, he is likely about to attack the Ogre Empire's imperial capital. The deputy general took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "As far as I know, Bai Qi led this campaign into the Ogre Empire because Ogre soldiers injured several Yanhuang descendants at the Nanjiang River." The Su Great Emperor was furious and said, "Whoever kills one of my people, I will destroy their nation." After the deputy general finished speaking, he didn't dare to look up at me, because the intelligence he was reporting was about the Yanhuang Empire. That Bai Qi was lawless. 1 man and 1 legion had beaten the Ogre Empire into submission. This matter had already spread throughout the entire eastern continent, and all nations and races were in shock. The Su Great Emperor's overbearing nature was truly beyond words. It really was destroying a nation. The Ogre Empire was already being pushed to its imperial capital. "Emperor Lord, that Bai Qi." Yi Tianqing was completely stunned. He turned his head and looked at me, muttering to himself, "That is correct. It was I who ordered him to lead the troops." I said with a smile, "For one thing, it gives me an excuse to send troops to the human alliance. For another, it allows the 100 tribes of the eastern continent to restrain themselves, making it easier for Chen Kun to protect human refugees and bring them back to the Yanhuang Empire." Everything the Emperor Lord did was for the human alliance? All for the sake of the human refugees who had lost their homes in the war? Even though Yi Tianqing was a man of 7 feet, his nose felt sore and his voice turned hoarse. "Emperor Lord, they are just ordinary people. How could you trouble yourself with such elaborate planning to save them? You scoundrel! In my eyes, human life is precious. More precious than the heavens. Why wouldn't they be worth my effort to save them?" I smiled calmly, pointing at Yi Tianqing and scolding him with a laugh. The human alliance had lost so many duchies that the number of displaced civilians was in the tens of millions, which was why I was so invested. After all, these were people. Ready-made, free population. Pure humans. It would be a waste not to take them. If the Yanhuang Empire had to grow its population on its own, it would definitely take 10 years to add 10 million people. It was just a pity for the Ogre Empire. They had become the chicken I killed to warn the monkeys. To deter other races on the eastern continent, the Ogre Empire had to be destroyed. The Emperor Lord is right. Yi Tianqing took a deep breath and quickly kowtowed. The Emperor Lord's righteousness. Great benevolence. Great kindness. Tianqing will never forget it. On behalf of the millions of suffering refugees, I thank the Emperor Lord for his grace. Don't be in such a hurry to thank me. I narrowed my eyes and said leisurely, "I have one more thing to discuss with you." "Ah." Yi Tianqing was stunned, as the Yanhuang Great Emperor, sitting on 1,000,000 elite troops, with countless fierce generals under my command and vast Yanhuang territory. The great emperor still had things he needed to discuss with him? Please, Emperor Lord, enlighten me. Yi Tianxing said cautiously. This time I sent troops to the Human Alliance. Naturally, I did not want to see the Human Alliance crushed. I smiled calmly and said straightforwardly, I want you to hand over military command and represent the Human Alliance, leading the remaining people and duchies to merge into the Yanhuang Empire. Hand over military command. Merge into the Yanhuang Empire. Yi Tianxing was shocked and left speechless. To be honest, as far as the Manhwa duchy and Yi Tianxing himself were concerned, he would raise both hands and feet in favor of this. But unfortunately, Yi Tianxing was currently the commander-in-chief of the Human Alliance's army. Every move he made affected all the human duchies, and this responsibility as commander-in-chief made it impossible for him to agree easily. This, Emperor Lord, regarding the merger into the Yanhuang Empire, if this matter is resolved, the Manhwa duchy is willing to join with the entire nation. But Tianxing cannot represent the other human duchies. Yi Tianxing chose his words carefully and answered cautiously. Truth be told, he was 100% unwilling to refuse me. The strength of the Yanhuang Empire was obvious to everyone. Looking at the entire eastern continent, the most powerful force among the entire human race was the Yanhuang Empire. And the Manhwa duchy was famous for prioritizing the race above all else. The education Yi Tianxing had received since childhood was to always put the race first. But now, Yi Tianxing was only the commander-in-chief of the army, not the leader of the Human Alliance. Furthermore, Yi Tianxing was a man of great responsibility. He could not agree to merge into the Yanhuang Empire for his own and his country's benefit without the other human duchies knowing. I smiled, waved my hand dismissively, and said, Then we can discuss this matter later. I came here today to help the Human Alliance repel the Alien Alliance, but the military command must be given to me. The 3,000,000 soldiers were the Human Alliance's last remaining assets. Yi Tianxing felt bitter, took a deep breath, and refused with difficulty. Emperor Lord, Tianxing cannot hand over military command either. Humph. Su Ba stepped forward and shouted angrily. Are you ungrateful, kid? Our Yanhuang Empire traveled thousands of miles to support you in this war. You can't expect us to use our own. If you don't hand over military command, how can we help you? If the Emperor Lord decides to withdraw his troops now, do you think holding on to 3,000,000 soldiers will have any effect? Can you save the Human Alliance? Su Jiao smiled coldly and continued to threaten. The pressure from the two Nirvana realm experts made Yi Tianxing feel depressed and uncomfortable. He struggled to lift his head, looked at me, and whispered in explanation. Emperor Lord, it is not that Tianxing is unwilling to hand over military command, but I only have the position of leading the army, not the authority to hand over the troops. These 3,000,000 troops were all cobbled together by the Human Alliance. Yi Tianxing, did not have the qualification to hand over military command to me. No matter. I smiled, a cold glint flashing in my eyes, and asked softly, Does this matter require a council meeting to decide? Yes, the Emperor Lord is wise. Yi Tianxing nodded quickly and said in a low voice, Whether it is merging into the Yanhuang Empire or handing over military command, it requires a vote from the human duchies deep in the rear. Tianxing himself does not have the right or qualification to decide these two things. Pedantic. Su Ba sneered. A general in the field is not bound by the orders of his sovereign. The situation is critical now. Where is there time to wait for that group of politicians to vote and decide? Su Jiao was even more disdainful. If it were a Yanhuang general, there wouldn't be such nonsense. At the most critical moment, everything is based on national interest. They would never be as timid as Yi Tianxing. Yi Tianxing sighed, feeling very helpless. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with a plea. I can understand you. After all, they are not the Manhwa duchy's troops, and you don't have the qualification to mobilize their allegiance. I smiled suddenly, comforting Yi Tianxing. How about this? Although the war situation is tense, I am still confident in holding the frontier line for a few days. I will have the Jinyui help you send the battle report back to the rear with all speed. We must have the kings of the major duchies come here in person to negotiate the joint defense with me. Have the kings come in person? Yi Tianxing was stunned and said with a bitter, hesitant smile, Emperor Lord, they may not be willing to come. The kings are very likely to ask the Emperor Lord to go to the rear to negotiate with them. These kings all viewed power as their life, and their life as their second priority. With the front lines so difficult, how could they be willing to come? It would be good enough if they didn't hold them back. Have the Emperor Lord go to see them? What a joke! Su Ba roared. The Emperor Lord is so noble. The fact that he came to lead the campaign in person is already a great favor. And they want the Emperor Lord to go see them? Could it be that these kings have straw in their heads? This won't work, that won't work. If you ask me, Emperor Lord, let's just withdraw the troops. Why help this bunch of cowards? Su Jiu also said in a cold voice. I smiled without a word, looking at Yi Tianxing. Yi Tianxing shook his head bitterly. He was caught in the middle, and it was very difficult to be a person. On one side were the greedy and cowardly human kings, and on the other was the overbearing Yanhuang Empire. It was very difficult for him to handle and coordinate the tempers of both sides. Emperor Lord, no matter what, you must not withdraw the troops. There are still millions of civilians in the rear. You cannot abandon them. Yi Tianxing's voice trembled, and hot tears welled up in his eyes. Don't be in such a hurry. I smiled and said calmly. As long as you write a letter yourself, telling them, if I do not see all the kings of the human alliance in 3 days, then I will naturally withdraw with the Yanhuang Legion. I think the kings are not fools and should come. I refuse to meet the alliance leaders in the rear. As the great emperor of Yanhuang, my every move carried weight. Lowering my status would undermine my authority. My subordinates' pride stemmed from my own arrogance. If I bowed to others, how could I expect my generals to remain unyielding? My tone was soft, but carried a clear threat. If Yanhuang withdrew, the human alliance would fall. Their only hope lay in Yanhuang's legendary realm experts and their powerful legions. I knew the politicians would prioritize their own survival and eventually come to me. Yi Tianxing sighed, feeling guilty for forcing the emperor into such a position. It is for the survival of the human race, I said with a smile, though my eyes remained cold. I planned to force these greedy kings into submission once they arrived. Yi Tianxing, moved by this perceived selflessness, expressed deep shame for his previous doubts. Yi Tianxing believed I was genuinely sacrificing my dignity to secure a defense pact for the sake of humanity. Emperor, I retract my words. You are truly a leader with boundless vision, Yi Tianxing declared, kneeling in total submission. I laughed and helped him up, urging him to focus on military preparations, noting that my own 600,000 troops couldn't carry the entire burden. I helped the man to his feet with a hearty laugh. Yi Tianxing vowed that he would rather die than let the alien races cross Yixianshan and disturb the emperor. He nodded firmly, sealing his oath. He now deeply admired my ability to overlook minor grievances, my strategic depth, and my nation's strength. Yi Tianxing believed the folk songs about me being humanity's only hope, unaware that these were actually genuine propaganda designed to pave the way for my eventual unification of the race. Their conversation was interrupted by a panicked deputy general. Yi Tianxing frowned, annoyed by the man's lack of composure. He compared the man unfavorably to Yanhuang's stoic generals, wondering why his own officers were so easily rattled. Marshal, the princess is dying. The physicians say the sound of the legendary realm drums shattered her lungs and spleen. She won't last the night. The deputy, a man of the Manhwa duchy, spoke with bitter grief. Yi Tianxing's sword clattered to the ground as he lost all composure. His sister was dying. He stood frozen in shock. Casting aside all decorum, he grabbed the deputy, his eyes bloodshot, and demanded he repeat the news. The deputy looked on, helpless and innocent. Yi Tianxing shoved him aside and rushed toward the infirmary. I, understanding the man's distress, turned to ask about my own consort. Su Huimi had joined the campaign, but under the watchful eyes of Hua Mulan and the Yanhuang generals, she had fought safely. As the emperor's woman, her safety was a top priority for my subordinates. They would never forgive themselves if she were harmed. I saw Hua Mulan accompany the consort to the infirmary, Su Ba whispered. My heart tightened. I was shocked. She was supposed to be in the rear, and her own martial prowess was significant. Su Jiu smacked Su Ba for his clumsy phrasing. Wang Zhe stepped in respectfully. Emperor, the consort, is unhurt. She went to visit the Manhwa princess to show goodwill toward our allies. I exhaled, shaking my head with a smile. She was becoming more socially adept, moving beyond her cold, martial-focused nature. I led my retinue toward the infirmary. The infirmary was packed with the Alliance's best physicians treating the wounded. It was the hub of medical care for the Alliance. The Manhwa princess was kept in a private, makeshift room. Soldiers from the Alliance and Yinhuang knelt as I passed. Alliance soldiers watched the legendary emperor with curiosity and awe. My reputation as the savior of the Eastern continent was well known among both humans and aliens. I walked through the kneeling crowd with calm indifference. As Suba opened the door, they heard Yi Tianxing roaring at the physicians, blaming them for his sister's condition. I entered to find Yi Tianxing holding an elderly doctor by the throat. The doctor pleaded that the internal damage from the drums was beyond their skill to heal. Others begged for mercy, insisting they had done everything possible. They explained that the other musicians had already died. The princess had only survived this long due to her youth. They had used the best medicine available. Killing them would change nothing. The elderly physicians knelt, begging for their lives. Yi Tianxing, blinded by rage, threatened to execute them for their incompetence. He drew his sword, ready to strike. I stepped in, frowning at the scene. Suba flicked a burst of gang qi, knocking the sword from Yi Tianxing's hand. The guards and Hua Mulan knelt to acknowledge me. I approached the panting Yi Tianxing, urging him to save his killing intent for the aliens rather than the doctors who had served as men. The physicians looked at me with immense gratitude. Wang Zhe watched with disdain, thinking the marshal lacked the emotional control required of a true leader. However, this was a harsh judgment. Anyone would lose their composure if their own flesh and blood were dying. Yi Tianxing took a deep breath, his eyes filled with pain, and ordered the doctors to leave. On the bed lay a pale, delicate girl, her beauty haunting even in her unconscious state. Sister. Yi Tianxing stared at her, but Hua Mulan blocked his path. Su Huimi was there, wiping the girl's brow, her face showing rare pity. She stepped aside, allowing the grieving brother to approach. Inside the infirmary, female soldiers watched in silence as Yi Tianxing sobbed, calling out to his sister. The atmosphere remained heavy. War is cruel, snatching away loved ones while leaving the survivors helpless, forced to watch as life fades away. Grief and rage are useless against the inevitable. The pain of war scars the soul, festering into deep-seated hatred that fuels endless cycles of conflict. Hatred accumulates drop by drop. War is the root of all evil. Unless one force conquers the entire continent, war will never cease. In this world, peace is merely a temporary lull between conflicts. I sighed, waving for Su Ba, Wang Zhe, and the others to leave. I took Su Huimi's hand, asking softly, "Are you hurt?" My tone held more concern for Su Huimi than for the dying Princess Manhwa. "I am fine, my husband." Su Huimi offered me a radiant, sweet smile. "You? Don't go to the front lines again, or I'll forbid you from leading troops," I teased, gently flicking her nose. Leaning into my embrace, Su Huimi looked at the weeping Yi Tianxing and whispered, "I heard Princess Manhwa use the human ancestor's voice to counter the legendary realm drums, damaging her heart and lungs. She is dying." I raised an eyebrow, smiling. "What are you planning?" "Husband, you gave the third elder a miraculous pill that can bring the dead back to life. Do you have another? Please, save her." She murmured, "I don't want to see her die. There are too few women willing to stand up for the nation." Working with Hua Mulan to elevate women's status, Su Huimi felt deep pity for the princess's sacrifice. She knew only I could perform such a miracle. As Miss Huiying had advised, when in trouble, turn to your husband. To these women, I was omnipotent. "You're so certain I can save her?" I chuckled. "Husband, you are the kindest man in the world. It would be a tragedy to let such a remarkable woman die. You're so powerful, you must have a way." Su Huimi pleaded like a kitten. Her sudden vulnerability was more captivating than any beauty. "Cough, and why am I so powerful? Tell me, and if I'm satisfied, I'll save not just her, but the whole world." I leaned in, my forehead resting against hers. Blushing, Su Huimi couldn't bear to let a hero perish. She leaned close and whispered a secret into my ear. The soft, Seductive tone sent a jolt through me. Did that Nyan fairy teach you that? Su Huimi blushed and nodded under my intense gaze. I sighed, amused yet stirred. I'll educate you tonight. Su Huimi trembled, her face flushed with color. Fortunately, they were alone in the infirmary. Yi Tianqing remained slumped by the bed, weeping uncontrollably. He blamed his own incompetence for his sister's condition. I approached him. Emperor Lord, I failed to protect her. She shouldn't have to die. Yi Tianqing looked up, his eyes filled with despair and self-loathing. The fierce prince, usually a pillar of strength, was now shattered. He knelt, his sword discarded, tears washing away the blood on his face. He had abandoned all princely dignity, weeping like a helpless child. I should have sent her away. Why did you stay, you foolish girl? He stared at her pale face, his heart aching with agony. If she hadn't stayed, more soldiers would have died. I said, she is a woman of great virtue. She didn't do it for you, but for the soldiers and the people. The world has no shortage of heroes. Yet, heroes often meet tragic ends, their sacrifices hidden behind the glory. I hate this. Yi Tianqing cried. He watched her breathing grow shallower, feeling utterly powerless. Move aside, you fool. Hua Mulan snapped. The Emperor Lord can save her. Yi Tianqing looked up, hope dawning as he saw my calm smile. I stood there, radiating confidence and control. A voice inside Yi Tianqing roared. He is the human emperor, the embodiment of miracles. Only he can save her. Emperor Lord. Yi Tianqing knelt and kowtowed desperately. Please, save my sister. Asterisk thud. 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 Asterisk. He slammed his head against the stone floor until it bled. I will serve you as a beast of burden. I will hand over my 3 million troops. I will merge the human alliance into the Yanhuang Empire. Oh, didn't you say you lacked the authority for that earlier? I asked, glancing at the girl. If I cannot protect my own kin, why should I protect those power-hungry fools? Yi Tianqing's eyes were filled with cold, desperate resolve. He recounted how he had begged the alliance leaders to support Yanhuang, only to be ignored as they squabbled over power. Why should I fight for them when they don't care if the alliance falls? I am the commander. The army is in my hands. They can no longer stop me. He had made his choice. He would no longer sacrifice his loved ones for corrupt kings. It was no longer about duty. It was about ending the stupidity. Even so, that will be difficult to achieve, I noted. Annexing the duchies now risked destabilizing the army. The Emperor Lord will find a way. I will ensure the kings come to this border city and comply with your every demand. Yi Tianqing performed the Yanhuang military salute, bowing his head in total submission. A hero, threatened by the lives of his loved ones, chose to abandon his integrity. Even regicide became an acceptable price. Few can endure the pain of heroism when their family is at death's door. I remarked that I admired this pragmatism, then tossed a wooden box to Yi Tianqing. This little Zizai immortal pill will heal your sister within half a day. The box opened, revealing a fragrant, crystalline pill. Remember your word. You are mine now, I said, departing with Su Huimi, Hua Mulan, and my soldiers. Clutching the box, Yi Tianqing wept and kowtowed toward my retreating figure, swearing his life to the emperor. Yi Tianqing understood he had traded his freedom and loyalty for his sister's life. He knew I, the great emperor of Yanhuang, would never have granted the medicine without that public pledge of allegiance. Yet, Yi Tianqing felt no regret, only deep gratitude. He was relieved to finally rely on an invincible emperor as his shield. While the world called me a hero, I had actually evolved into a maker of heroes. Yi Tianqing fed his sister the pill. It dissolved instantly upon contact. He watched her with intense, nervous anticipation. Half a stick of incense later, Minghua's eyelashes fluttered, and she opened her eyes, looking at Yi Tianqing in confusion. Brother, she whispered softly. Yi Tianqing laughed in ecstasy, confirming the pill's efficacy. Minghua, still dazed, asked if the city had been held, remembering only the enemy's attack. She tried to rise, still burdened by her duty as commander of the music troupe. Yi Tianqing quickly called for the maids to assist her. He reassured her that the city was safe and told her to rest while he attended to business. He then strode out of the infirmary. Filled with gratitude, Yi Tianqing reflected on his deep bond with his sister. He owed everything to the emperor who had saved them both. Manhwa watched him leave, murmuring, "The Emperor?" A maid explained that I had arrived with the Yanhuang army and repelled the invaders. "Yanhuang has mobilized," Manhwa exclaimed. She knew how hard her brother had struggled to convince the Yanhuang emperor previously. Curious, she asked the maids for the full story. The maids eagerly obliged. They described the 600,000-strong Yanhuang legion and the 3 legendary realm experts, including a woman. They added that I had personally saved her after the physicians had given up. Manhwa realized the emperor had saved her, her brother, and the city. A look of shock and curiosity crossed her pale face. She had heard of the emperor's greatness, but never expected to owe him her life. News of her recovery spread, highlighting my miraculous methods. That afternoon, Su Ba distributed medicinal pills to the wounded soldiers on the emperor's orders. These pills saved many lives, cementing my reputation among the human alliance. Yi Tianxing, having finished his military duties, hurried to the emperor's residence. He sought to personally thank me. He stood humbly before the gate, requesting an audience. Su Jiao informed him that the emperor was busy and did not require thanks. Su Jiao's tone was softer now. Since Yi Tianxing was now one of their own, there was no need for hostility. Understood. Yi Tianxing kowtowed at the gate, expressing his eternal gratitude. He then stood and bowed to Su Jiao before leaving. He decided to focus on coordinating his troops to support the emperor's upcoming plans. Inside, I had just emerged from Su Huimi's chambers. Feeling refreshed, I smirked, thinking that keeping her bedridden was the best way to keep her off the battlefield. I remained in high spirits. "Someone, go attend to the imperial consort." I ordered the maids to care for the exhausted Su Huimi. I then walked toward the study. A guard presented a secret report from the Jinyui, asking if Commander Yang should manipulate the continental public opinion or adjust the strategic plan. The guard awaited my instructions. "Proceed as planned. Let him make the call," I replied dismissively. I preferred to delegate authority to my commanders as long as the situation remained under my control. I aimed to cultivate my subordinates' independence rather than relying on me for every decision, knowing my own limitations. The Black Jade Cavalry Imperial Guard withdrew respectfully. I retreated to my study and locked the door. I hadn't forgotten my pending lottery and general summons. I decided to hoard the 10 million public support energy for future tech tree upgrades. The Yanhuang military was currently sufficient for the human alliance's needs. I needed to save energy for long-term technological development. I initiated the perfect grade lottery. A massive, vibrant, colorful roulette appeared before me, far more impressive than standard versions. The wheel was filled with rare treasures, its pointer beginning to spin. I watched the options with keen interest. Unlike previous draws, this perfect grade wheel featured high-tier rewards and lacked useless filler items. It was a guaranteed win. I calmly brewed tea, watching the pointer spin through enticing options. The draw lasted an unusually long time, spinning for half an hour. With a sharp whistle, the pointer finally settled into a small slot. The roulette vanished before I could identify the prize. "System, congratulations, host, you have obtained the Supreme Imperial Throne." I was stunned. A throne as a reward? I opened my lord's backpack and summoned the item. A golden chair materialized with a heavy thud. It resembled a large, majestic armchair, featuring 2 azure dragon armrests and a primal, authoritative aura. Adorned with golden phoenixes and beast motifs, it was covered in soft, luxurious fur. I sat down, finding it remarkably comfortable. Supreme Imperial Throne, a special item and mount. Crafted from dragon bones and phoenix souls, it offers protection against fire and water, defensive capabilities, and flight. Its functions scale with the user's strength. I realized it was classified as a mount. With a thought, it hovered effortlessly without consuming my internal force. It flew at twice my base speed and was a growth-type item that strengthened alongside me. I tested its capabilities. A circular light barrier erupted from the dragon armrests, capable of repelling attacks from enemies 1 realm higher than me. It could withstand a full power strike from a Nirvana realm expert without draining my own energy, scaling as I grew stronger. The throne also assisted in combat, providing endless utility that kept me entertained. After 2 hours of testing, I turned my attention to summoning a general. "System, open the Lord's altar." The throne drifted smoothly to the desk, allowing me to reach my cold tea without standing. The throne allowed short-range teleportation within a 100-mile radius. I activated the altar, and a massive projection appeared. Begin summoning. The altar spun, emitting an ancient, awe-inspiring aura. Visions of the past flickered before me. A young, muscular man lifted a 300-gene cauldron, challenging all who dared oppose him. In Luoyang, he presented Ding Yuan's head to Dong Zhuo as a token of loyalty. He stood tall, wielding a halberd and clad in golden armor. Dong Zhuo praised his pragmatism, though the youth's eyes burned with cold ambition. He was like a lone wolf, trusting no one while climbing the ladder of power. At Wang Yun's mansion, he raged over the abduction of Diaochan. Wang Yun feigned helplessness, blaming Dong Zhuo. The warrior, feeling betrayed, stormed out, unaware of Wang Yun's hidden malice. After Dong Zhuo's death, he held the city for 8 days before being forced to break out. "I am Lu Bu. Who dare stop me?" His roar shook the battlefield. He carved through the enemy ranks with his halberd. Holding Dong Zhuo's head, he fought like a mad tiger to protect his carriage. He guarded his beloved woman with his life, his armor stained with blood. His sheer ferocity forced an army of thousands to watch in silence as he escaped. He was a lonely soul in a chaotic world, his iron heart melted only by his love. Scenes of his campaigns and eventual defeat at Xiapi flashed by. Despite his reputation, his devotion to his family never wavered. He fought to protect his home until the very end. System, congratulations, host. You have obtained a divine general. I reflected on the vision. A truly devoted man, Lu Bu. Regardless of the timeline, Lu Bu's iron-willed tenderness and martial prowess were impressive. I admired his ruthlessness toward enemies and his fierce loyalty to his own. I smiled, satisfied with the result. This legendary warrior was now mine, a powerful addition to the Yanhuang Empire. I checked the stats. Name, Lu Bu. Age, 35. Race, human. Loyalty, 100. Quality, divine general. Strength, legendary peak. Skill, Overlord halberd technique. Increases attack by 100% and block by 50%. Skill, Born Rider. Increases attack speed and reaction by 100%. Talent, Lu Bu among men. Immune to fear/intimidation. Intimidates weaker humanoids. Talent, Cavalry Specialization. Increases cavalry breakthrough and combat power by 100%. Martial Arts Prodigy. Passive talent. Enhances martial Dao mastery. Eases cultivation. Accelerates breakthroughs. And grants immunity to inner demons. Heroic Demeanor. Passive talent. Increases damage against enemies by 100% while leading troops, with a chance to inflict cowardice, low morale, or soul suppression. Item, Sky Piercer Halberd, 12 feet long, 24 kilograms, with tier, sturdy, and sharp effects. Red hair. The king of horses, rideable only by the extraordinary. Capable of traveling 10,000 li daily, possessing immense stamina and battlefield dominance, intimidating ordinary mounts. Lu Bu's stats and gear were so impressive they nearly blinded me. In my past life, I loved using Lu Bu in games. The man was a battlefield bulldozer. Even in strategy games, I always prioritized recruiting him. His raw power made him indispensable. Now that I had summoned the real Lu Bu, I was filled with anticipation. Let's see if you live up to the legends, I muttered, opening the system Myriad Worlds Mall. I sought blueprints for troops compatible with Lu Bu. While Lu Bu had many historical cavalry ties, only the traversing camp offered a true bond bonus. The traversing camp gained 100% combat effectiveness under Lu Bu, but since Gao Shun already commanded them, reassigning them would be a waste of talent. I hesitated and ultimately decided against buying new cavalry blueprints. With the war against the Alien Alliance ongoing and no spare population to form new legions, the matter was shelved. A maid interrupted my thoughts. Emperor Lord, Empress Su Huimi has left for the women's army drill ground. I had ordered to be notified of her movements. Oh, I chuckled. That girl, defying my orders to visit the drill ground. I know. You may leave. I exited the study, boarding my floating throne. The servants were stunned by the sight of me on the majestic, glowing throne. However, having traveled from the Yanhuang Empire, they were accustomed to my eccentricities. They bowed and retreated. I focused, and the throne emitted a strange, protective light. With a flash, the throne vanished and reappeared at the women's army drill ground. The massive field could accommodate 200,000 soldiers. Built over residential ruins, the facility was part of the city's total militarization against the alien alliance. I hovered high above, surveying the scene. The throne's barrier masked my presence, keeping me hidden. The women, mostly strong farm women, trained with impressive vigor. With rigorous training and barracks buffs, their combat power was substantial. I watched Su Huimi and Hua Mulan personally instructing the troops. Seeing Su Huimi's serious expression, I felt helpless. I hadn't expected her to become so addicted to being a general, and I couldn't bring myself to interrupt her dedication. I waited until the training ended and the women retreated to a side chamber before descending. Emperor Lord. The guards outside the chamber knelt in reverence. Rise. I waved them off, dismissed the throne, and entered. I heard movement inside. Pushing the curtain aside, I froze. 3 women were changing clothes, laughing. I was shocked to see Princess Manhwa, now fully recovered, among them. Who's there? Hua Mulan turned, startled. The 3 women shrieked and scrambled to cover themselves, blushing deeply. My apologies, I chose a poor time. I coughed, took one lingering look, and retreated with feigned regret. I realized they were changing after their workout. Awkwardly, the 3 emerged shortly after in casual attire. They looked like shy, beautiful flowers, stirring a protective urge in me. Even the usually tomboyish Su Huimi and Hua Mulan were blushing, unable to meet my gaze. Princess Manhwa, naturally shy, trembled as she clutched her hem. Caught between gratitude for her savior and awe of my status, she was visibly flustered. Ahem, I didn't know you were inside. I broke the silence, using a casual tone to ease the tension. In private, I was always gentle and accommodating toward my women. It's fine, Emperor Lord Manhwa stammered, her face reddening as she avoided my eyes. Hua Mulan took a deep breath, casting a coy glance at me before looking down, her battlefield ferocity gone. Su Huimi playfully chided me. Husband, why didn't you announce yourself? I just wanted to see what you were doing. I didn't mean to. I sighed and glared at her. Don't turn this on me. I told you not to leave the residence. Su Huimi whispered in my ear. Silly husband, Mulan saw you ages ago, but didn't say anything. You got a treat. Why blame me? I was stunned by her playful confession. So Mulan had known, and Su Huimi had let me walk into the scene on purpose? I sighed, thinking my once cold empress had been corrupted by these fairies. Enough, we'll discuss this later, I said, feigning sternness. Su Huimi softened, looking at me with a coy, affectionate gaze. A maid brought tea, easing the atmosphere. Despite my desire to scold her, I sat down to converse politely. I am Manhwa. Thank you, Emperor Lord, for the medicine. Manhwa rose to bow, her voice soft and delicate. I marveled that such a fragile-looking woman had the courage to aid soldiers on the front lines. It is nothing. Your brother begged me, and I could not bear to see such a remarkable woman perish. I smiled. You flatter me, Emperor Lord. Princess Manhwa kept her head low, avoiding my gaze. Though this was a private meeting, the princess felt deeply uneasy meeting the legendary Yanhuang Emperor. Having been caught in an awkward moment earlier, she remained silent after offering her thanks. I kindly took the initiative to engage her in conversation. Princess Manhwa was renowned in the Manhwa Duchy for her talent and musicality, earning her the name Manhwa from her king. I looked at her with genuine appreciation rather than imperial greed. Having many beauties already, I was not a lecher. My tone remained that of a polite, caring superior. Su Huimi, however, began prying into the princess's marital status, causing great embarrassment for both me and Manhwa. With a man present, such intimate questions were highly inappropriate. After the meeting, I questioned Su Huimi, who defended her actions. The human alliance is vulnerable. By winning over Yi Tianqing and marrying Princess Manhwa, we can support the Manhwa Duchy, manipulate the alliance from within, and eventually annex it. I could only smile bitterly, realizing she had been coached by military advisor Nian and Miss Huyen. While their strategy was clever, it was ultimately a woman's perspective, unnecessarily complicated. Given Yanhuang's current power, I didn't need such schemes. I had already chosen a direct military approach. Appreciating their good intentions, I comforted Su Huimi and let the matter drop. Over the next few days, the Jinui delivered intelligence on the eastern continent. The Yanhuang Empire's simultaneous strikes against the Ogre Empire and the Human Alliance stunned the continent. The Yanhuang Emperor is insane, fighting on two fronts. Insane? Bai Qi's legion has reached the Ogre capital. He defeated 5 Ogre legendary realm experts single-handedly, sustaining only minor injuries. Impossible. Ogres have natural physical superiority. Bai Qi has razed 12 cities and slaughtered millions. The Ogre Emperor offered to surrender, but Bai Qi refused. He refused surrender? My God, I am determined to annihilate them, all for a single border citizen. Madness. Meanwhile, I lead 600,000 troops and 3 legendary experts against the Human Alliance, trapping 2 million enemy soldiers at Yixianshan Canyon. The Night Monarch is furious, executing incompetent generals and rushing reinforcements to the front. The Ogres have been abandoned. The Anti-Suyu Alliance can no longer save them. Yanhuang's aggressive two-front war has completely disrupted the Alliance's plans. The Ogres were fools to give Yanhuang an excuse to strike. My timing is impeccable. I keep the war outside my borders while strangling the Alliance. Observers across the continent were filled with awe and admiration. Yanhuang had once again shocked the eastern continent. The crisis facing Yanhuang had reversed. The Alliance was now trapped in a quagmire, unable to retreat without losing face. The Alliance was being held in check by a single empire, forcing everyone to reevaluate me. The Ogre Empire was now a liability, and the Night Monarch had no intention of wasting resources on them. As the continent watched, some began to wonder, what about the 100 Tribes Alliance? Won't they strike? This sparked realization. The Wing Tribe and Orc empires had old grudges against Yanhuang and coveted its leadership position. With Yanhuang fighting on two fronts, its homeland must be vulnerable. The Night Monarch quickly sent envoys to the Orc and Winged empires, offering massive bribes to attack Yanhuang. If they attacked, Yanhuang would be forced to retreat, and the Human Alliance would be saved. The Night Monarch knew his own forces were tied down, but the Orcs and Winged tribe had the capacity to strike. Tempted by the rewards, both empires began mobilizing. Tensions spiked as the continent braced for a massive escalation. Many predicted, the 100 Tribes Alliance is dead. Yanhuang is doomed. If both empires attacked, my plans would collapse, and Yanhuang would face total destruction. Just as the continent expected my downfall, shocking news arrived. It caught everyone off guard. Coup in the Orc Empire. Prince Cecil used bone goo grass to poison the beast monarch. Crown Prince Andrew has taken control and is purging rebels. Succession crisis in the Winged Tribe Empire. 8 princes are demanding the emperor depose the crown prince. The capital is in chaos, and the army is paralyzed. With the Jinui's help, the news spread instantly. The continent was stunned. Cecil is mad. Bone goo grass is an incurable poison. The timing is too perfect. Yanhuang is incredibly lucky that both empires fell into chaos simultaneously. Now, no one can stop Yanhuang. The Anti-Suyu Alliance will be bled dry. Enemies of the human race sighed in defeat. With internal rebellions and succession wars, neither empire could spare a soldier for Yanhuang. Observers lamented the missed opportunity. These internal conflicts would take time to resolve, and time was exactly what Yanhuang needed. Once this window of vulnerability passed, attacking Yanhuang would become impossible. As expected, both empires ignored the Night Monarch's pleas. The Winged Tribe Emperor, fearing the Orcs' refusal and the risk of attacking alone, abandoned the plan. The Yanhuang Empire was no longer the weak Qingtian Empire of the past. The Night Monarch was livid upon receiving their refusals. He scrambled to contact other minor empires and duchies. He hoped to incite the 100 Tribes Alliance members to turn against Yanhuang. Before his envoys could arrive, Chen Kun, acting on my decree, announced a new mutual defense pact with all allied duchies, upgrading their military coordination. Many alien duchies immediately pledged paid military support to Yanhuang. The Night Monarch's envoys were left stunned by the swift consolidation of power. How could they still send envoys? With the alien alliance backing them, the combined forces of a dozen small duchies now rivaled a full imperial army. Su Yu is truly formidable. To think he could convince other races to provide military aid to a human nation. The 100 Tribes Alliance benefits these small duchies most. Without the Yanhuang Empire's prior aid, many would have been annexed by other races. How can they not repay such life-saving grace? Besides, if the Yanhuang Empire survives, they stand to gain much in the future. Despite their frustration, the major powers of the Eastern continent had to abandon any thoughts of looting the Yanhuang Empire while it was vulnerable. Everyone knew attacking the Yanhuang Empire now would cripple it, but no one dared to be the first to strike. Looking at the near-annihilated Ogre Empire, few had the courage to provoke the ruthless me at this moment. The Dark Knight Monarch was furious, especially as reports of defeat from the Human Alliance front caused him to cough up blood. An army of over 10 million was stalled at the canyon, their full-scale assaults proving futile. Whenever an alien legendary realm expert intervened, a human counterpart blocked them. Without such intervention, the alien soldiers could not break the Yanhuang Legion's blockade. Sending envoys was useless, a dead end. The Dark Knight Monarch didn't realize that everything was unfolding exactly as I had predicted. Whether it was the political turmoil in the Orc and Winged Tribe empires, the small duchy's support for Yanhuang, or the shifting public opinion, all were controlled by my Jinui. The Jinui had sacrificed countless assets to stabilize the situation. A few envoys from the Dark Knight Monarch could never undo their work. Just as the Dark Knight Monarch pondered opening a new front or retreating to recover. Human Alliance, Ancient City. Amidst the recent turmoil, the surviving kings of the Human Alliance finally arrived. Inside Tianqing's commander's mansion in Ancient City, the gorgeously dressed kings sat in the upper seats, served by attendants with tea and fruit. As dancers performed, Tianqing sat below, smiling politely. Tianqing, why hasn't the emperor arrived? Is he delayed by urgent matters? The old emperor of Manhwa sighed, glancing at the other rulers before asking Tianqing softly. Your Majesty, the emperor is still at the drill ground, preparing for the next wave of the alien coalition's offensive. Tianqing smiled. He should be here soon. The old emperor nodded. Military matters come first. We can wait. The old emperor's tone reflected genuine respect and admiration for the Yanhuang Empire and me as a powerful human force. Others, however, felt differently. Summoning us here only to be late? Is this how Su Yu treats his peers? He has no respect for us. A king sneered. I've traveled far and sat here for half an hour. Even the emperor of Yanhuang shouldn't ignore us like this. Emboldened by their status in the Human Alliance, several kings began complaining about my tardiness. My lords, the emperor is tied up with military affairs. Please, show some understanding. Tianqing smiled as he explained, hiding the cold glint of disdain in his eyes. Prince since when does an outsider interfere with the defense of this border city? What are you doing as commander? A king sneered. Are you so eager to hand over military power just because the Yanhuang Empire arrived? Letting him command our soldiers. The emperor is no outsider. We are all human and should support each other. Tianqing replied calmly. These kings were already reluctant to be at the dangerous front. Now, being left waiting by me only fueled their resentment. Tianqing's defense of me only stoked their anger. Not an outsider? Have you forgotten that the Human Alliance expelled the Yanhuang Empire? They are no longer considered human. A king declared with arrogant superiority. They acted as if they held the authority to judge Yanhuang's status. Exactly. Why let an outsider manage our troops? If he uses our soldiers as cannon fodder, we lose everything. Tianqing, you are incompetent. If you let the Yanhuang Emperor seize your power, we must vote for a new commander. I suspect Su Yu has ulterior motives, trying to seize power and sabotage our alliance. 12 of the 13 kings present, excluding the old emperor of Manhwa, began to echo these complaints, mocking the Yanhuang Empire. The king's inexplicable hostility left Tianqing feeling cold. If not for the Yanhuang Empire, they would all be dead. How dare they spout such nonsense about him and me? My lords, you go too far. Tianqing stood, bowing politely. The emperor is here to help us repel the alien coalition. You are wrong to doubt his intentions. He's likely just panicked because we stripped him of his human status. A king sneered. He has no choice. If Yanhuang doesn't support us, they'll be cast out as aliens. Another king chuckled smugly. They were proud of their vote to expel the Yanhuang Empire from the human race. Besides, the alien alliance is Su Yu's enemy. Why should we bear the brunt of this war? Right? It's his duty to repel them. They are his enemies. This shift in logic won widespread approval. I say he should not only repel them, but pay us compensation. Our duchies were destroyed, and our soldiers died for nothing. A king smirked over his teacup. I propose we demand compensation when Su Yu arrives. He must pay. If he refuses, we uphold the vote and continue to deny Yanhuang's status as human. Seconded. Greed flickered in their eyes. They craved the Yanhuang Empire's powerful army, resources, and protection. Greed is human nature, and it thrives best in the minds of fools. As they babbled, the old emperor looked grim, and Yi Tianxing's jaw tightened as he forced a smile. They believed they held leverage, thinking Yanhuang feared being labeled alien, and sought readmission to the alliance. Unfortunately, these were mere delusions. As for compensation, I want 300 million gold coins. I want the Yanhuang Empire to provide me with a 10,000-strong elite legion for free. I want 30,000 tons of energy and a treaty for 10 years of free aid. Yes, why should we let an outsider keep all those benefits? We can't let Yanhuang waste human resources. They belong to all of us. They ignored the dancers, excitedly plotting as if the Yanhuang Empire owed them everything, believing all its assets belonged to the human race, meaning themselves. My lords, Su Yu is an emperor. Isn't this unreasonable and likely to cause offense? The old emperor of Manhwa took a deep breath, suppressing his rage to offer a soft warning. Even he, an outsider, found their shameless greed beyond comprehension. The kings turned on him. Offense? Unreasonable? Was it reasonable for Yi Tianxing to hand over military power? Exactly. Let's vote on it. I agree to demand compensation. 12 kings voted in favor. I refuse. The old emperor of Manhwa sighed, shouting. They traveled thousands of miles to support us. Without the Yanhuang Empire's experts and army, we would already be dead. How can you not see this? But we aren't dead yet. Someone sneered. Regardless, I am at fault. The Yanhuang Empire must bear the losses caused by the anti-Su Yu alliance. Exactly. And we haven't settled the score regarding Yi Tianxing handing over military power without authorization. The kings looked at the old emperor with arrogance and disdain. Factional strife within the human alliance was severe. Those who had stood with the old emperor to fight for the human race had already perished. Isolated and helpless, the old emperor could only seethe with suppressed anger. He lamented that these short-sighted, greedy men would destroy the human alliance. Yi Tianxing stood by, coldly observing their ugly, triumphant greed. As they debated, a sharp, raspy voice echoed from outside the council hall. The Emperor Lord arrives. The atmosphere in the hall reached a fever pitch. The kings turned toward the entrance, their eyes filled with complex, greedy excitement. He's here, a king muttered, mentally calculating how to demand compensation from me. Moments later, the doors creaked open. I entered, draped in a white cloak. I looked like a carefree young noble, nothing like the formidable great emperor of the human race. Some kings were stunned by my youthful appearance. Others felt contempt, wondering if the Su family had no one else to lead. Before I could sit, someone challenged me. You are Su Yu? I smiled silently. Insolent. How dare you address the Emperor Lord by name? Su Jiu stepped forward and roared. The aura of a Nirvana realm expert exploded, causing the air in the hall to ripple. Gasp! The kings were shocked, some even tumbling from their chairs. Ah! The dancers screamed in terror, unable to withstand Su Jiu's bloodthirsty killing intent. All of you withdraw. Yi Tianxing dismissed the dancers and bowed respectfully. Your Majesties, this is the Emperor Lord of the Yanhuang Empire, Su Yu. Emperor Lord, please sit. Yi Tianxing offered a chair, but I waved him off, intrigued by the kings. The king's expressions shifted between anger, lingering fear, and cold scrutiny. So you are the Yanhuang Emperor Lord. It is an honor to finally meet you. The old emperor stood to bow respectfully. This is my father, Yi Tianxing whispered. I have long admired the Manhwa duchy. Meeting you today, you are indeed a man of distinction, I replied warmly. I chatted amiably with the old emperor. Seeing my gentle demeanor, the other kings relaxed, their faces darkening as they prepared to strike. They mistook my politeness for weakness. Umph. A junior comes to meet us and doesn't even offer a proper greeting. An elderly king spoke coldly, attempting to use his seniority to pressure me. I chuckled inwardly, amused by the man's audacity to claim seniority over me. Before the first king could press further, another jumped in to escalate the situation. He sneered. Suyu, you let the anti-Suyu alliance attack the human alliance. You intimidate us with your subordinates. You show no respect to your elders. What is your intent? Do you have no regard for the human alliance? His words ignited the suppressed resentment and jealousy of the other kings. We know your true goal. You want the Yanhuang Empire to be recognized by the human alliance again, don't you? Then you must meet our conditions. You must help us repel the anti-Suyu alliance and pay compensation for our losses. The alliance is your enemy, not ours. Yes, compensation is mandatory, or you will never be recognized by the human alliance. The kings took turns posturing, demanding benefits and trying to strip the Yanhuang Empire bare. They pressed forward, eager to squeeze every drop of value from me. You people. The old emperor rose, pointing at the others in fury. You are facing the great emperor of the human race. Do you have a death wish? Some people are truly beyond help. I watched them with a playful, icy gaze, finding it absurd that such fools existed on the Four Directions continent. Where did they get the confidence to threaten me? Humph. A king sneered at the old emperor. Don't forget, Suyu was once human. Does he want to kill us all just because he refuses to admit his mistakes? The king looked at me with arrogant certainty. He emphasized once human and refuses to admit mistakes. I had always been strong against alien races, but gentle toward humans. Even when they rejected my invitation to join the 100 Tribes Alliance, I had responded with gifts rather than anger. This history convinced the kings that I was a leader who was harsh to outsiders, but soft on my own kind. They believed I might be annoyed, but would never dare to kill them. You are shameless. I regret ever forming an alliance with you, the old emperor shouted. See above. Regardless, Suyu was wrong. Compensation is just a formality for him to return to the human fold. If he doesn't pay much, a sincere apology will suffice. He is, after all, a respected leader. Seeing the old emperor's rage, some kings softened their tone slightly. Yi Tianxing glanced at me, silently mourning for the 12 kings. Only those who truly knew me understood that my gentle exterior masked a brutal, ruthless nature. An emperor who would raise an army to destroy an entire alien empire over a single citizen was not a soft-hearted man. Suyu, do you agree? If you want recognition, show us your attitude. The human alliance welcomes the Yanhuang Empire. The kings turned to me, their demands still ridiculous despite their improved tone. Tea, I said, reaching out. Wang Zhe prepared the tea with precision. For a full incense stick's time, no one spoke. I sipped my tea lazily. When the kings grew impatient, I set down my cup and smiled. Compensation? Do you know that no one dares to make such demands of me? So you refuse? Do you not want your human status back? The kings asked, their voices turning hostile. I smiled. First, whether the Yanhuang Empire is a human empire or whether I am human. No one, no country, and no race has the qualifications to judge me. Second, I smiled at the gathered kings. I haven't summoned you to join the human alliance, but to ask if you are willing to abdicate and merge your lands into the Yanhuang Empire. If you agree, you shall receive third-rank civil posts. All resources, populations, soldiers, and territories will henceforth belong to the Yanhuang Empire and to me. My tone was calm, yet undeniably domineering. You're insane, one king exclaimed. The kings were stunned. They hadn't surrendered power even when facing alien threats. Why would they yield now just because I demanded it? Don't be so arrogant, You're nothing but an outcast race. We came here in good faith, thinking you wanted to join the alliance. Yet you make such absurd demands. Impossible. The human alliance is the only legitimate authority, the king shouted, faces dark with rage. I agree. The king of Manhwa took a deep breath. I entrust my 3 million subjects and 120,000 soldiers to you, Emperor. Please protect them and lead us to victory against our enemies. He bowed deeply. You're mad, the other kings jeered. Why give away your people for nothing? The kings looked at him as if he were a fool. But the king of Manhwa sneered internally. Who in this room could possibly defy me? He stood behind me, closing his eyes and remaining silent. Fine. We vote to expel the Manhwa duchy from the alliance and strip them of their status as humans, a senior king declared. Seconded. Seconded. The kings chimed in, acting as if they still held real power. I remained unmoved, sipping tea with a faint smile. Enjoying your little trial, are you? Then let me play along. As Emperor of Yanhuang, I declare the Alliance kings guilty of greed and endangering our race. You are traitors to humanity. How dare you judge us? We are the orthodox rulers, the kings shrieked. I ignored them. For these crimes, I sentence you to death and order the seizure of all Alliance assets, populations, and lands. Tianxing, I commanded. Tianxing smashed his teacup on the floor, the signal. The doors burst open as Imperial Guard Black Jade cavalry warriors stormed in, surrounding the kings. What are you doing? You wouldn't dare. Guards, protect us. The kings were paralyzed with terror, their faces pale with shock. Stop shouting, Tianxing sneered. Your guards are already under our control. The kings trembled, looking at the smiling me with newfound dread. I was no soft ruler. I was a man who would turn my blade on my own kind as readily as on aliens. I agree. I'll join the Yanhuang Empire. Take everything. A king, feeling a cold blade against his throat, suddenly found his sense of self-preservation. I agree too. I'll join. I am your loyal subject. They shouted in panic. When faced with death, their previous convictions vanished. Too late. I have no use for idiots. I waved my hand. Execute them. The guards' blades fell instantly. 12 heads rolled to the floor, eyes wide with regret. The human alliance was finished. Humanity needs no alliance. I sighed, looking at the corpses. It only needs the Yanhuang Empire and its emperor. The king of Manhwa twitched slightly at the sight of the bodies. He knew these men were doomed, but my decisiveness was chilling. I killed without hesitation. My ruthless power was on full display. Looking at my calm eyes, the king of Manhwa felt both fear and relief. He feared the cruelty, but was relieved that humanity finally had a leader capable of matching the alien emperors. He felt lucky. His gamble had paid off. Following such an emperor might be dangerous, but it meant witnessing humanity's rise to the peak. The guards removed the bodies and scrubbed the blood from the floor. Silence filled the hall as only my party remained. The king of Manhwa bowed cautiously. Emperor, there is something I must address. He spoke with newfound subservience. Speak freely, I said gently. Yet, the memory of the slaughter lingered. No one found my smile comforting anymore. I was a true titan, one of the most dangerous men on the Four Directions continent. Emperor, the king whispered. The soldiers outside know the kings gathered here. If they learn their rulers are dead, I fear a mutiny. He spoke out of caution, fearing for my plans. A mutiny? I raised an eyebrow. If the soldiers rebelled, the defense of Yixianshan would fail. I needed those 3 million troops to fight alongside my own legions. I gestured for the king to sit. Drink some tea. The king sat gingerly, still worried. This is a serious matter, Emperor. You must appease the troops. Most of the 3 million soldiers belonged to the 12 fallen kingdoms. Even if their kings were flawed, the soldiers were loyal to them. A mutiny was highly likely. The king of Manhwa knew the soldiers wouldn't understand the strategic necessity of the execution. A small spark of rebellion could easily spread, compromising the entire defense of the canyon. Don't you have a role in this? Don't worry. I stared deep into the king's eyes. I don't follow, Emperor. Drink, I laughed. I intend for you to represent the human alliance and announce the news to the troops outside. The king nearly choked on his tea. But the alliance is dissolved. I am your loyal subject, Emperor. Please, do not test me. The king looked distressed, fearing he was being trapped. I shook my head. Don't overthink it. Just follow my instructions to prevent the mutiny. As you command, Emperor. I will do whatever it takes, the king replied, relieved. With 12 dead kings as a warning, he felt the constant danger of serving such a master. Tianxing stood silently behind me, watching. I calmly instructed. I want you to announce as the human alliance that 12 human kings were controlled by the Dark Knight race and plotted against the people and soldiers. declare that their betrayal caused the alliance's near collapse, but thanks to the Yanhuang Empire, the Emperor Lord and I exposed them. These traitors have been executed for the sake of our fallen. Announce that the Yanhuang Empire will fully support the alliance to crush the enemy and reclaim lost territory. Use this notice to boost morale, promising 3 months extra pay and 3 days of feasts to celebrate the traitor's demise. I smiled at the old emperor. Did you get all that? My strategy was simple. Leverage the old emperor's status to pacify the 3 million soldiers with tangible rewards. It was a simple yet highly effective tactic. With genuine propaganda and the looming threat of the alien alliance, the risk of mutiny was effectively zero. The old emperor understood but hesitated. Emperor Lord, I understand, but I have one question. He whispered. The human alliance has dissolved. How can I issue orders in its name? The soldiers don't know that. From now on, you are the sole authority of the human alliance, I replied firmly. My tone left no room for debate. Emperor Lord, you trust me with such power despite my recent surrender? The old emperor gritted his teeth. Before he could finish, I squinted. No, I don't trust you. The old emperor was stunned and flustered. He was relieved by my next words. However, I will trust you once you sign this contract. I snapped my fingers, and Su Ba presented a black scroll. It was a demon contract. Sign it, and I will use you, I said, sipping tea. This is... The old emperor looked puzzled. Just a contract, I replied. The old emperor felt uneasy. He didn't want this dangerous responsibility. Being the new leader of the alliance was a high-risk position. Knowing the dangers of holding power under a superior, he followed his instincts. I watched him calmly, neither rushing nor forcing him. He knew that without signing, I would never grant him power or aid the alliance. Refusal might even lead to his death. Yi Tianxing whispered, Father, sign it. Trust the Emperor Lord. Having already signed a demon contract himself, Yi Tianxing spoke from experience. Very well. The old emperor bowed. I thank the Empire for this trust. I shall serve the Yanhuang Empire and the Emperor Lord until death. He signed the demon contract with a flourish. As the system notification chimed, I asked, Your name is Yi Chuyu? The old emperor was startled. Yes, that is my name. Yi Chuyu wondered how I knew his name without being told. He didn't realize it was the system informing me. I patted his shoulder. Work hard. I will have the Jinui assist you. Yes. Yi Chuyu replied, feeling honored. I nodded and left, leaving the father and son to talk. Outside, I received a new system notification. System, congratulations on fully subjugating the human alliance. You have gained all resources, supplies, and population of the 13 duchies without a full-scale war. Reward, 1.3 million public support energy. Each duchy provided 100,000 points. The reward felt slightly stingy. However, given my frequent use of clever tactics, the system's reduced reward was expected. I accepted it and headed to my residence. Su Huimi was in the courtyard practicing swordplay. She looked beautiful and focused, her movements graceful yet sharp. Haha, Huimi, let me spar with you. I grabbed a sword and joined her. You scoundrel, take this. Su Huimi smiled sweetly, her strikes losing their lethal intent. Clang. I parried easily. Your strength is lacking, little lady. You'll be captured by this scoundrel at this rate. I'm not afraid of you, she huffed, attacking again. With me, she shed her cold, arrogant exterior. If you call me a scoundrel, I'll have to. I teased. You bad man. I'll hit you, she blushed. After our time together, I went to my study to meet a Jinui agent. Reporting, Emperor Lord. Yi Chuyu issued the notice. The soldiers are calm, and those who tried to stir trouble were secretly executed. Good. Maintain order, promote the Empire's image, and tell Yi Chuyu to triple the promised rewards for the soldiers. I ordered. Have Yi Chuyu hand over the supplies and population to the Imperial Guard. Use the Crimson Airship Fleet to transport them to the Yanhuang Empire. Have Chen Kun handle the resettlement. With the wealth of 13 duchies, I was feeling generous. I intended to absorb the survivors of the 3 million soldiers into the Yanhuang Empire's elite forces after the war. Over the next few days, the situation at Xianshan Canyon stabilized as the alien alliance suffered repeated defeats. With the Empire's strength and high-end combatants, victory was assured. Manhwa often visited Su Huimi while I enjoyed my time with them. Crimson airships shuttled constantly, moving supplies and civilians to the Yanhuang Empire. Knowing their families were safe, the soldiers fought with renewed fervor. With the refugees collected by Chen Kun, the empire's population reached 160 million. The Dark Knight Monarch attempted to bypass the canyon and harass the rear, but these efforts were largely contained. However, with Crimson airships now filling the skies, the alien legions had lost their aerial cavalry and, consequently, their air superiority. I anticipated every attempt to bypass the canyon, dispatching forces to swiftly and decisively eliminate these small, flanking enemy groups. Just as the stalemate at Axianshan Canyon persisted, 1 month later, I received 2 system notifications, while a shocking new piece of news erupted across the eastern continent. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Public support energy for the previous month has been distributed, totaling 4.2 million public support energy. Ding! Congratulations to the host. Victory in war. You have gained 5.6 million public support energy. These 2 notifications brought me a total of 9.8 million public support energy. The first was easy to understand. Thanks to the efforts of Chen Kun, Marquis Wu Zhuge, and others, more and more citizens of the Yanhuang Empire reached maximum public support degree, providing me with increasing amounts of energy each month. The second notification might have seemed puzzling at first, but after a moment's thought, I realized exactly where those 5+ million points had come from. You really can't deny it. War plunder is the most efficient path to fattening oneself up. I muttered to myself with a smile. The rewards gained from winning a war were far greater than the standard monthly public support energy distributed by the system. The following afternoon, a Jinui agent delivered an intelligence report. Emperor Lord, General Bai Qi has captured the imperial capital of the Ogre Empire. He slaughtered all 13 million ogres within the city. The Ogre Emperor fled the Ogre Empire overnight with his personal guards through a secret passage. Our Yanhuang Empire has achieved a great victory. We have seized all the territory and resources from the major cities of the Ogre Empire. The campaign lasted 1 month and 16 days. Our army suffered 210,000 casualties, while we annihilated 70 million enemies. Over 6.3 million Ogre soldiers were killed in action. General Bai Qi has also captured over 300,000 sturdy Ogre slaves, intending to present them as a gift to the Emperor Lord. According to the battle report sent by General Bai Qi, the Ogre Emperor only managed to escape with a few Nirvana realm experts and guards. Emperor Lord, this is the secret battle memorial. Inside the study, the Jinui agent, visibly excited, respectfully handed the memorial to me. Oh, not bad. Bai Qi truly did not disappoint me. My eyes shone with appreciation as I nodded repeatedly in praise. Hearing my words, even the usually stoic Jinui agent revealed an expression of envy. Receiving recognition and praise from the Emperor Lord was an immense honor. Upon reflection, General Bai Qi was certainly worthy of such glory. The entire 70 million population of the Ogre Empire had been slaughtered. Only a few million Ogre civilians had managed to flee the empire during the month-long war. The rest had not been spared, perhaps to other races and factions within the eastern continent. Bai Qi's actions were seen as a disregard for life, but to me, this was a monumental achievement. To annihilate an entire empire within a month using only 1 million troops, and to defeat a race recognized as first tier on the Four Directions continent. This feat was enough for Bai Qi to look down upon the entire eastern continent. I was also filled with joy. Human life? In my eyes, could any race other than the human race even be considered people? If I did not wield the butcher's blade for the human race today, the human race would eventually face the blades of other races. In this land of competition among myriad races, there was no mercy or humanity, only interests and cold-bloodedness. Every emperor fought constantly for the survival and strength of their own race. I was no different. For the sake of the human race, I had to be an extreme nationalist. Emperor Lord, do you know? The entire eastern continent is in an uproar. Some are cursing General Bai Qi. Others are cursing our Yanhuang Empire. But no matter how they curse, they cannot hide the fear in their hearts. They are all terrified of the Yanhuang Empire. The excited Jinui agent was becoming incoherent. He clenched his fists, looking at me with fanatical worship, and knelt on the ground, whispering, "Emperor Lord, many regions within our borders have spontaneously held celebrations. Scholars are hosting banquets, warriors are enlisting in droves, and many intellectuals are composing poems and inscriptions for you in the Yanhuang Empire, vowing to pass down this great achievement for 100 generations." Think of how much suffering and hardship the human race had endured over the years. But now, everything had changed. Bai Qi's victory had reached the homeland, sending the entire Yanhuang Empire into a frenzy. The human citizens within the Yanhuang Empire, including the refugees and the people from the Human Alliance who had been relocated, had never felt as excited or confident as they did today. They could hold their heads high and tell the world, the Yanhuang Empire is a powerful empire. The human race is a powerful race. This was national pride, an indescribable emotion filling everyone's heart. Even the Jinui members, who walked on the edge of darkness, were unable to contain their excitement. It was a carnival. Although I had not yet returned home, I could imagine how ecstatic the citizens of the Yanhuang Empire were. This was evident from the number of citizens whose public support degree had recently reached the maximum value. The Jinui agent took a deep breath, calmed himself, and asked in a low voice, "Emperor Lord, General Bai sent a battle report asking for your next instructions. Tell him to remain within the territory of the Ogre Empire for now and not to leave, while staying alert for sneak attacks from other factions. Order Marquis Wu Zhuge to leave the northern frontier and oversee the administration of annexing the Ogre Empire's territory, cities, and mines. Have Chen Kun transport all the spoils and supplies seized by Bai Qi's army back to the homeland." I pondered for a moment and continued. "Additionally, have Huang Zhongyi select a batch of suitable young men from the refugees. Once I return to the country, we will incorporate these soldiers into the Qin Army Legion. The Qin Army Legion must be kept at full strength. It was the most powerful combat force of the Yanhuang Empire and had to maintain its peak fighting capability at all times. Furthermore, having just conquered the Ogre Empire, the Yanhuang Empire needed significant time to absorb and digest the territory, cities, and mines left behind, as the Ogre Empire's landmass was no smaller than that of the Yanhuang Empire. Bai Qi's contribution in expanding the territory was enough to solve the resettlement of the refugees. I could establish another large prefecture to expand the Yanhuang Empire's racial potential. By the way, aren't there 300,000 ogre slaves? Throw them all to Marquis Wu Zhuge and let him handle them. Make these aliens work as laborers until they die. I want them to contribute their final value to the strength of the Yanhuang Empire." My expression remained blank as I continued. "Also, have the Jinui issue a continent-wide warrant to hunt down the Ogre Emperor. If any alien race captures the Ogre Emperor, I am willing to offer a reward of 100 million gold coins. One must pull up the weeds by the roots. The Ogre Emperor must die. Additionally, issue the demon-slaying decree. Regardless of race or nation, anyone who brings an ogre's head to the Yanhuang Empire can exchange it for 100 gold coins. Kill 1 ogre to get gold. Kill 10 ogres to receive lifelong support from the Yanhuang Empire, equivalent to a 7th rank official. Kill 100 ogres, and you may enter the human registry and become a Yanhuang descendant." My voice was chillingly cold. I modeled this policy after the ancient slaying the Hu decree, intending to flush out all the ogres hiding across the eastern continent and kill them to the last one. Since I had already destroyed their empire, the hatred was as deep as the sea, so I could never give the enemy a chance to recover. No matter how slim the chance, I would not be careless. Kill. Not only must I kill, but I must make the ogres enemies of the entire world. Those who kill ogres shall be honored guests of Yanhuang. Use greed to stir the desires of all races in the eastern continent. Then cast a net from which the remnants of the Ogre Empire cannot escape, ensuring they perish in total despair. Emperor Lord, the Jinui agent was stunned, feeling a surge of hot blood rush to his head, making him tremble with excitement. However, he did not forget his duty. He suppressed his agitation and whispered, "But Emperor Lord, the 100 clans within the eastern continent are currently quite critical of the Yanhuang Empire. Several empires within the 100 Tribes Alliance believe your methods are too brutal and harmful to the natural order. If you issue these decrees now, your subordinate fears it may provoke a joint resistance from the Myriad races. Resistance? They wouldn't dare. I smiled, my voice echoing. The Ogre Empire is destroyed, and the Yanhuang military is at its peak. Who would dare to court disaster at a time like this? Even if they dared, I would exterminate them all. I smiled and said calmly, those not of my race will surely have different hearts. I have the ambition to suppress all races under heaven. Why would I fear a few clowns? Those not of my race will surely have different hearts. These 8 words contained my resolve and faintly revealed a bloody intent to kill. The Jinui agent chewed on the Emperor Lord's words, his expression one of shock. Go now? Remember to take my imperial edict back to the country. If all goes as expected, I, too, shall return in a few days. I waved my hand, dismissing the Jinui agent. The agent bowed respectfully and left the study. Soon, over the next few days, the news circulating and erupting across the eastern continent reached the ears of the Dark Knight Monarch. The Ogre Empire had been destroyed by the Yanhuang Empire. The Ogre Emperor had fled with his guards, and the Yanhuang Empire had issued the demon-slaying decree. Exterminate them all. It had to be said that my series of methods and strategies were interlocking. The Yanhuang Empire's two-front war not only allowed them to manage and balance both sides, but also enabled such brilliant schemes. From fighting on 2 fronts, to simultaneously checking the Ogre Empire and the Anti-Suyu Alliance, to destroying the Ogre Empire, and then devising a plan of total annihilation. Even though many in the eastern continent were cursing me, many alien martial artists still chose to hunt down Ogre refugees nearby, killing them to exchange for the bounty in the Yanhuang Empire. After all, several million ogres had fled across the eastern continent. Their heads combined were worth at least several 100 million gold coins. In an instant, many people across the eastern continent were frantically searching for ogres, most of them being impoverished martial artists in need of money. After all, in any world, there was never a shortage of poor people or money-grubbing killers. The Dark Knight Monarch, however, had no time for such trivial matters now. He had no interest in helping the ogres, whose empire had already fallen. Inside the imperial palace of the Dark Knight Empire, in the vast court, no one dared to speak. Everyone was silent. The civil and military officials were anxious, not daring to look up at the Dark Knight Monarch, who sat on the throne with a gloomy face. Even the envoys from the various countries of the Alien Alliance dared not speak. The atmosphere was terrifyingly heavy. After a long time, the Dark Knight Monarch finally spoke. More than 10 million. The Dark Knight Monarch's voice was cold. More than 10 million. We fought for a month, and we couldn't even take down a single canyon. Tell me, whose fault is this? Is it the commander's responsibility, or are the soldiers cowardly? Or is it that all our various races and nations cannot defeat a single Yanhuang Empire? The Dark Knight Monarch's voice grew louder and louder, eventually becoming a roar that filled the court. This, Emperor Lord, this is truly not a failure of combat. We have done our best, but no one expected that the soldiers of the Yanhuang Empire would generally be stronger than our warriors, and there were also many human legendary realm experts supporting the human alliance. A civil official stood up, trembling as he explained in a low voice. Not a failure of combat. Humph, what a not a failure of combat. Now the entire eastern continent is laughing at me, laughing at the Anti-Suyu Alliance. The Dark Knight Monarch sneered. When I changed commanders, what did you say? That we would definitely win this war. But look at it now. You all jointly recommended Bright for the position of commander, and you gave me a result of defeat. Guards, pass on my decree. Dismiss General Bright from his post as commander of the Allied forces. He fought without success and sacrificed millions of Allied soldiers in vain. Execute him before the palace. Let this be his atonement. The Dark Knight Monarch ordered in a cold voice. Someone had to bear the Emperor's wrath. Someone had to take the blame for the failure of the war. However, when the civil and military officials below heard the Dark Knight Monarch's order, their expressions changed drastically. They looked at each other, all seeing the panic in one another's eyes. Bright's identity was not simple. Although he was only a member of a major family in the Dark Knight Empire, His position as commander was the result of interest exchanges between the various noble clans and factions of the Dark Knight Empire. Bright could not die. At least, for some families of the Dark Knight race, they did not want to see Bright die because of this. Emperor Lord, you must not kill the commander. The army has just been defeated. If you punish Commander Bright now, it will cause instability among the soldiers, which could lead to an even more unbearable blow to the Empire. Emperor Lord, please think twice. This old official also disagrees with punishing Commander Bright. This was not a failure of combat. Executing Bright will inevitably trigger turmoil in the current situation of the Empire. As soon as the Dark Knight Monarch's voice fell, civil and military officials stepped forward one after another to persuade him to retract his order. The officials in the court spoke with such sincerity, exaggerating the situation to the heavens, as if the Dark Knight Empire would collapse the moment Bright was killed. Facing the group of officials kneeling on the ground, some weeping, some beating their chests, some raising their tails high in a display of desperate persuasion, the Dark Knight Monarch felt only coldness and sorrow in his heart. I have grand ambitions, yet my court is filled with noble clans and factions that only care about their own interests, not the interests of the Empire. At this moment, the Dark Knight Monarch felt a faint sense of envy toward me. It was said, when the Yanhuang Empire was first founded, Emperor Su used iron-fisted methods to subdue and purge the domestic noble clans, making the entire Yanhuang Empire united as one, with no one daring to defy the Emperor's decrees. That was the true demeanor of an emperor. That was the true power of an emperor. Look at the Yanhuang Empire, and then look at his own court. The gap was truly like heaven and earth. The Dark Knight Monarch sighed inwardly. Unfortunately, the situation in the Dark Knight Empire was different from the Yanhuang Empire, and many things could not be compared. The Dark Knight Monarch could not ignore the power of these noble clans. Although these intertwined families restricted his power, they were sometimes also an asset to the Dark Knight Empire. Therefore, the Dark Knight Monarch could only sigh in sorrow, retracting the order to execute Bright, and had to let it go. In the subsequent court assembly, the officials offered suggestions to the monarch regarding the current situation. With the Ogre Empire destroyed, everyone advised the monarch to withdraw the troops. After much deliberation, the Dark Knight Monarch had no choice but to choose to retreat. The Qin Army Legion of the Yanhuang Empire had already demonstrated powerful combat strength. If they waited for the Qin Army Legion to arrive at Xianshan Canyon, the offensive and defensive roles between the Yanhuang Empire and the Alien Alliance might well be reversed. To avoid greater losses, the Dark Knight Monarch had to choose to withdraw. He could not afford to gamble, nor could he afford to fight. War not only consumed supplies, but also vast amounts of money and population. Yet the Yanhuang Empire was an anomaly, opening two fronts simultaneously and becoming fatter and stronger the more they fought. Who knew why the Yanhuang Empire was so bizarre? They didn't seem to lose anything while fighting. Instead, they gained a large population and supplies from the Human Alliance, as well as the territory and resources of the Ogre Empire. Soon, the court meeting of the Dark Knight Empire concluded. The Dark Knight Monarch's order was issued, and a large number of Alien Alliance soldiers withdrew from Xianshan Canyon. Having lost the threat of the alien armies, my transport teams grew even larger, with supplies flowing continuously from the Human Alliance into the Yanhuang Empire. Just as the people of the Eastern Continent were surprised by the Dark Knight Monarch's decisiveness, another explosive piece of news emerged from the Orc Empire. The Beast Monarch of the Orc Empire had died due to the bone goo grass, which had worsened and remained incurable. 3 days ago, the Orc Empire officially announced the passing of the Beast Monarch. The entire nation was in mourning. This legendary realm Orc expert, the emperor who had once ranked 4th on the Eastern Continent's Great Emperor rankings, had died just like that. And he had died at the hands of his own son, Prince Cecil. This news caused the people of the Myriad races in the Eastern Continent, who had thought their capacity for shock was greater, to gasp once more. Regicide. This was a son killing his father, an act of great rebellion. Cecil has gone mad. So the news from 2 days ago was true. Cecil really rebelled. The Beast Monarch, a legendary realm powerhouse, is actually dead. Many people exclaimed in disbelief. They could not accept such news. Such an act of parricide to seize power had only ever appeared in history books. Who could have imagined it would happen so realistically right before their eyes? The cruelty of imperial power struggles was fully displayed before the world. According to intelligence from the Orc Empire, Prince Cecil had secretly fled the imperial capital half a month ago. He had rallied 3 million elite troops and hundreds of Orc generals. They gathered in a southern city of the Orc Empire, standing in opposition to Andrew, who was in the imperial capital. Both sides accused the other of being rebels, claiming themselves to be the legitimate successors. The two constantly vied for the loyalty of the Orc Empire's armies and generals, dividing military and political power in the Empire's territory. Under the endless political maneuvers of these two Orc princes, many other Orc princes had to choose to submit to one or the other. The situation in the Orc Empire was now clear. With the beast monarchs passing, the entire Orc Empire had split in two, becoming a battlefield for the two princes to fight for legitimacy. A large number of noble clans began to exert their influence, supporting the prince they had sided with, while many other families chose to wait and see. However, because the beast monarch had previously named Andrew as the crown prince, and Andrew occupied the imperial capital, a treasure trove of noble clans, Andrew generally had many more advantages than Cecil. Even though Andrew was superior to Cecil in troop numbers, the number of military generals and strategists under his command, and the support of noble clans, it was not easy for him to eliminate Cecil. After all, 3 million elite Orc troops could not be easily dealt with in a single battle. After all, Andrew was not me. He did not have warriors like the Qin Army Legion, nor did he have military generals like Zhao Zilong. At this time, the Orc Empire was plunged into the flames of war due to political chaos and power struggles, while the Wing Tribe Empire's struggle for succession among the Nine Sons was also intensifying. Ijizu was already struggling to cope with the repeated targeting by his 8 brothers. However, due to the lesson of the Orc Empire, the Wing Tribe Emperor had become very vigilant. He began to adopt forceful suppression measures to curb the ambitions of his children. This, however, inadvertently protected Ijizu, giving him time to catch his breath amidst his brother's offensives and consolidate his position as crown prince. At this moment, the attention of all races in the eastern continent shifted away from the war between the Human Alliance and the Anti-Suyu Alliance at Axiantian Canyon. They all turned their eyes toward the Orc Empire, watching the new conflict with curiosity, waiting to see who would become the new beast monarch. I was happy to be idle. With the Dark Knight monarch ordering a withdrawal, a large amount of supplies had entered the Yanhuang Empire within just 3 days. In a short time, the Yanhuang Empire had gained a vast amount of wealth and supplies, and Shen Kun, holding my edict, began to generously reward the alien duchies that had supported the Yanhuang Empire's stance. Repaying kindness fosters closer relationships. I prefer a mix of suppression and benevolence toward alien races to prevent the Yanhuang Empire from becoming an enemy of the world. This approach has prompted many small alien duchies to actively seek friendship with the Yanhuang Empire. Few empires prioritize gratitude today. Most are purely profit-driven. Small states are eager to align with the Yanhuang Empire and curry favor with me. I reciprocate every gift, signaling my goodwill. Many duchies are thrilled, wishing to send envoys to pay tribute, if not for my current absence. As the eastern continent's situation stabilizes, I sit in my study at Axiantian City. A Jinui kneels, reporting. Emperor, Andrew has gained the upper hand in the Orc Empire, but defeating Prince Cecil quickly is impossible. Commander Yang asks if you wish to provide reinforcements for Andrew. Since Andrew is my demon servant, the Empire naturally wants him to become the beast monarch. I smile. The Jinui will not intervene yet. I intend to let the Orc Empire simmer while other factions move. Understood. The Jinui hesitates, but the Anti-Suyu Alliance may support Prince Cecil. I fear Andrew cannot hold out. No matter. I command. Order the Crimson airships to stop transporting civilians and return to base. Use the army to escort refugees instead. Emperor, without the airships, moving so many people will take much longer. The Jinui is stunned. It is fine. No one dares touch my people, and moving commoners has no strategic value. The army is sufficient. I say calmly. My eyes flash. I am clearing the airships for the next war, focusing my attention on the Orc Empire. With the beast Monarch dead and internal chaos, Andrew's advantage makes the situation ideal. The Ogre Empire is gone. The Orc Empire is next. However, I must delay the invasion to ensure the domestic infrastructure can handle the rapid population and territorial expansion. You may leave. Arrange for my return to the Empire tomorrow. The Jinui exits, leaving me alone. I tap my desk, contemplating my next move. I am unaware that recent successes have made me slightly complacent, causing me to overlook minor details. Following my order, 3 million troops begin escorting human civilians back to Yanhuang. Refugees travel through the former Ogre Empire, using it as a transit hub with supply convoys. The Yanhuang Empire acts like a vortex, continuously absorbing the human population of the eastern continent. I prioritize this, deploying garrison troops to ensure safety. With occasional help from alien duchies, the migrants arrive safely despite the long journey. The Anti-Suyu alliance has gone quiet, and the Dark Knight race has ceased provocations, which suits me fine. I know that while Yanhuang can defend itself, defeating a coalition of many races is difficult. The alliance's defeat against the human alliance exposed internal fractures. They lack unity, refusing to sacrifice their own elite troops or lead the charge, as everyone acts in their own self-interest. The Dark Knight Monarch realizes they must reorganize to challenge Yanhuang, leading to a tacit peace period. During this time, Lu Bu, a young knight from the Yanhuang northern frontier, joined the ranks. He reportedly finished his training in the northern mountains and descended to serve the country. His immense strength impressed the north, leading me to recommend him. I keep Lu Bu as a personal guard alongside Wang Zhe for now. I focus on the eastern continent and the human alliance, leaving other matters to Marquis Wu Zhuge. With the Ogre Empire destroyed and the demon-slaying decree in effect, the ogres are cornered. The survivors harbor deep hatred for me and the human race. While the remnants are few and vulnerable, they are now targets for anyone seeking the bounty or Yanhuang citizenship. Any ogre discovered is as good as dead. However, there are always exceptions, and those dissatisfied with Yanhuang's rise remain. They dare not oppose me openly, but in the shadows, these surviving ogres are the perfect pawns for conspirators. By simply providing weapons, these hidden enemies can utilize the ogres. If handled correctly, they could force Yanhuang to relinquish its gains. Kunwa City, once an ogre stronghold, is now a Yanhuang immigrant hub. Under my order, the first wave of 3 million refugees enters the former ogre territory under military escort. The land is now a blank slate, ripe for human expansion and resource extraction. Kunwa City holds 500,000 people, but rebuilding is a massive task. I initially paid little attention to the area, underestimating the reach of his enemy's shadow tactics. Commander Zhua, a report. A group of ogres was spotted in the valley. Deputy Commander Ning asks if he should eliminate them. Why ask me? The Emperor's order is clear. Exterminate them. Tell Ning to take 500 men and wipe them out, or don't bother coming back. Yes, Commander. The commander is frustrated. He wants to be on the front lines earning glory, not guarding immigrants. He feels his assignment is a waste of his talents compared to the real fighting. Bad luck. I wonder when I'll be recalled from this godforsaken place. Commanders would dismisses the news and continues his patrol. He monitors the immigrants, though there is little to do. With abundant resources to harvest, no one has time to cause trouble. Yet, before he finishes his rounds, a disaster strikes. Urgent military report. Get out of the way. 2 soldiers sprinted forward, escorting a blood-soaked knight. Commander Zhua, sensing trouble, rushed over and demanded, "What happened?" "Commander, it's bad. The ogres set an ambush. Deputy Commander Ning and 500 men are surrounded and about to be wiped out." The knight gasped, his armor drenched in blood. What? Zhua was stunned. This was the heart of the Ogre Empire, Kunwa City. How could these remnants ambush 500 elites? Damn ogres. I'll slaughter them all. Everyone, follow me. Zhua didn't hesitate. Kunwa City was their largest settlement, housing 500,000 migrants. Though his garrison was small, the Empire's civil officials managed the city's construction and mining efficiently, making his presence largely symbolic. Hearing his deputy was trapped, Zhua led his entire force to the rescue. They arrived too late. The ground was littered with the bodies of human soldiers. The stench of blood was overwhelming. His deputy general knelt in a pool of blood, sword in hand, eyes wide open, long dead. Ning! Zhuo roared like a wounded beast, his voice filled with grief. He rushed to the body, trembling as he checked for a pulse. There was none. Yesterday, they had been drinking and discussing their loyalty to the emperor. Now, 500 men were dead. 500 iron-willed warriors, lost not to a grand battlefield, but to these wretched ogre remnants. Commander, there's a note. Zhuo snatched it. It read, from the Ogre Restoration Army. First, we kill 500 human dogs. Next, we kill 500,000. Wait. Zhuo tore the note to shreds, then froze. 500? 500,000. No. Return to Kunwu City now. Realizing he'd been lured away, Zhuo abandoned the corpses and raced back to the city. Upon arrival, he found Kunwu City in the midst of a bloody battle. Kill the human dogs. Revenge. At least 30,000 well-equipped ogres were slaughtering the migrants. The settlers fought back desperately. Lacking proper weapons and military training, they were no match for the ogres. It was a disaster. Zhuo lamented his mistake, knowing he would face severe punishment. What are you waiting for? Attack, Zhuo ordered, his soldiers charging into the fray. The Yanwang regulars easily routed the ogres upon contact. However, clearing the battlefield revealed the corpses were merely old and weak ogres, not a professional army. Puzzled by their high-quality equipment, Zhuo immediately sent a report via the Jinui to Marquis Wu Zhuge. I had entrusted the colonization to Zhuge, who immediately recognized the gravity of the situation. The report reached 700 soldiers and 2,000 civilians dead. The losses were minor, but the implications were grave. I realized someone was pulling the strings. Restoration Army? My eyes turned cold. These clowns finally crawled out. You want a piece of the Ogre Empire? You don't have the teeth for it. Order the Jinui to investigate Kunwu City and root out these agitators. The Jinui acknowledged the order, showing how seriously I took this threat. I hadn't conquered the Ogre Empire just to let it slip away. The costs of such a war were immense. I wouldn't allow the flames of war to reignite just as I was reaping the rewards. Unbeknownst to me, the entire Ogre Empire was already descending into chaos. The Kunwu report was just the beginning. The enemy was striking everywhere. Kunwu was the primary target, but 500 miles away lay Xinfu City. Xinfu had 50,000 migrants, but only 1,000 guards, as the main force was stationed at strategic borders. Bai Qi couldn't stay forever. He needed to deter neighboring alien nations. The Yanwang Empire couldn't spare more troops for internal security.